it. Because we are a research-based policy think tank, the motivation was if we can get the best minds in specific research topics and come and speak, we would probably add value and provide recommendations to the policymakers. We started with that modest objective. We are very fortunate that we have done about 180 webinars in the last 3 years. We have had two Nobel laureates with us, and we have had a blend of foreign speakers as well as domestic researchers and scholars speak on this webinar series. We have covered all types of topics. We have covered monetary, fiscal, socioeconomic indicators, poverty, unemployment, geopolitics, and all sort of issues have been discussed. Basically, all of them contemporary policy issues that would be necessary for the policymaker to look into, form a judgment, and give advice. We were also very fortunate that we did a series of talks for Task Force 5 under G20, the International Economic Order. And then we thought, if the country has to grow and progress the way we have been thinking about, and now that we are thinking about 2047, what should be the role of women in India's economic growth? With that very thought, and this is also part of the G20, with that very thought, we started and embarked on a mission of having 10 odd webinars where we will be inviting women entrepreneurs, and other scholars working on gender issues and guiding us. How do we go about if we want a developed India? What should be the role of women in that developed India? So today is our fifth in that series, and today to chair the session we have Professor Nirmala Padmanabhan, who's a faculty of economics for nearly 3 decades, and she has been teaching both post-graduation, graduation, and has handled subjects such as very varied subjects such as financial markets and systems, international trade, monetary systems. She has experience in budget analysis and analysis of economic issues of our country, especially Kerala, and in rural economic development as part of the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan community development projects. She is the Dean of Extension and Incubation in St. Teresa College, Ernakulam, with overall charge of community development projects undertaken by the college and responsible for overall guidance to the business incubation and entrepreneurship development initiatives of the college. We also wanted Professor Nirmala Padmanabhan to come because she is handling the entrepreneurship. And as we have been noticing on this forum, if India has to grow, entrepreneurship has to grow, startup India has to become important. And she is handling this whole thing, the business incubation and entrepreneurship development initiatives of her college. Dr. Padmanabhan was member of the Public Expenditure Review Committee of the Government of Kerala in 2021. She was also a member of the Working Group on Gender and Development to prepare plan of action for 14 5-year plan of the Government of Kerala in 21-22. She was also a member of the Working Group on Financial Resource Mobilization to prepare plan of action for 14 5-year plan of the Government of Kerala in 21-22. So she was part of two major groups. Professor Padmanabhan is a director in and holds some part of the paid-up capital of Bhumi Women's Collective Private Limited. She's done her studies, holds a doctorate, and has a special knowledge and practical experience in economics. Professor Padmanabhan is also on the board of a bank with effect from November 9, 2022. So with this, I hand over the session and invite Professor Padmanabhan to conduct the proceedings further. Professor.
Thank you. Thank you, Charan. Good evening, everybody. And thank you so much, EGROW Foundation, for giving me this opportunity to present the case studies of a few women entrepreneurs. As emphasize on Make in India and all those kind of we firmly believe that women do have a role to play. And Charan, such a lovely topic, because with more than around 50% of the population being women, as we have seen in the previous some webinars that you have held, women empowerment holds one of the keys for proper economic development, balance, for equitable economic development. And I would like to share the experience of a few of the women entrepreneurs that I had interacted with. And let me say that this was these women I met as a part of, uh, you know, popular media channel here had a competition for judging best women entrepreneurs. And I was one of the panelists to judge. And it was then that I met some of these people working from various districts and you have, both success as well as failures. They have had a lot of failures and it holds a lot of lessons. I think when I was looking at these case studies, they have a lot of lessons for entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs throughout Kerala. And with this, let me just go into my presentation. Can you see the screen? Okay. So,
Yes.
as we know, we have a low female work. Previous speakers in the various this have already set the tone by emphasizing that we have low female workforce participation and labor force participation, etc. And Kerala context, there is also an added speciality that there is high educated unemployment. If you take education, you take health indicators, Kerala is on the top of we have the whole #1 position. And Kerala is a model for many things, particularly decentralization. But entrepreneurship, I don't think is one of the strongest areas where Kerala is known for. But women development, human development, yes. But what was worrying recently is also voluntary. Normally, you expect that when more and more women get educated, they will go into the labor force, they'll get employment, all those kind of things. But what was worrying quite, all the policymakers for quite recent times was a voluntary withdrawal of women from labor force. And there are a number of reasons which have been pointed out for this. One is obviously the income effect. That is when the previous speakers have also said about that. But just to remind some who are not in the previous this, when the income of the lower people in groups increase and they can afford to not do, if your income is very low, everyone is forced to work. But when your income increases, then it gives you the freedom to, the economic space to stay at home. And along with that is the absence of formal care systems. Kerala is a I think, just like the rest of India, it's a very gendered society where care responsibility is purely the woman's role. Mostly it is a woman. And there are different kinds of care. All of us are familiar with child care. The moment the children are small, you really need somebody to take care of them. And with the collapse of the joint family system, and as is happening in Kerala and the rest of India also mostly, the parents have one of the parent has to take care of there are no elders to take care of the children. So one of the parent has to be at home. And this is especially important considering the child abuse. Every day you see in the papers cases of child abuse. So many parents are naturally worried that if I go for work, who will take care of my child? So it is mostly the women who give up the work to stay at home and look after the children. And Kerala is also facing a very worrying, when you think, okay, the child care is only for a fixed period after that, or maybe till the child starts going to school, regular school. After some time, the mother may get some free space to get back into work. But what is worrying in Kerala is also that Kerala is fast heading into an aging economy. And when it goes into an aging economy, again, the care system becomes double burden, because you have elderly parents who might be staying nearby, but then when they are old and they cannot take care of themselves, the children may have to step in, and then it is again the women who have to step in. So then the burden is further going to, the care, that kind of care may extend for years together with no specific period of end to it. And because of all these, many women are now, despite education, they are withdrawing from the labor force and staying at home. And there are two other reasons which I'll come to when I go in the course of my this. One is the gender blind policies, and I've already talked about the stereotype gender roles that where care is mostly a female. So all this is resulting in gender unfreedom, where you really are an economic vulnerability of women. But if you look at it, actually, they're contributing their contribution to production for self-consumption, whether it is care economy, whether it is children's education, whether it is home-based production of, vegetables or cooking or whatever it is. The contribution is very, very significant. But unfortunately, our system of national income accounting does not take into account production for self-consumption. Now, a lot of people are also having, that is one small ray of hope, that there are different strategy, there are different like time consumed. They're coming out with time use surveys, looking at how much of time women are spending on it, and arriving at different ways to calculate women's contribution to the economic production. Yes, that is happening on one side, but that doesn't excuse the fact that when women do only self production for self consumption, money does not come into their hands, and economic resources or assets are not in their hands, which increases their economic vulnerability. And this in turn leads to, all associated this of domestic violence. And again, the domestic violence in Kerala is one of the highest, all kinds of violence at women. So I think it's a vicious circle, and one of the ways to break this vicious circle is to ensure economic vulnerability, is to break this and ensure that they are economically empowered. Now, I would not say that if you look at, somebody looks at it from North India, looks at Kerala, you will see quite a few women working. There are a few who are very educated. Yes, they are not, it's not, there are doctors, there are engineers, there are particularly IT sector, I have analyzed the data on IT sector, and it is unlike Western countries where women have a aversion to technology. Here, there is no such thing. If you look at the engineering, the soft engineering like IT, architecture, etc., has brought about a change, has actually gendered the engineering field. And if you look at the data, around 40% to 45% of the engineering students are females now in Kerala. So there is no such thing. And majority of them go into the IT sector. But again, these few, they are there, they face a glass ceiling because they have a lower achieved functionings. I'll explain in 2 minutes. What happens is, there I was talking about the policies. Everyone, if you talk to any IT person, they will say we are gender neutral. We do not care whether it's a man or female. We are just not bothered about the gender. But as long as the work is, that is what we give, equal respect to everybody. Yes. But I would not say those policies are gender new. I would say the policies are they're not gender neutral as such. I would say gender neutral policies do not, serve the purpose. They are actually being gender blind. Because as long as the gender stereotypes are different and ladies have a caring responsibility, they cannot attain. I'll quote a simple example. During my PhD, I had interviewed a lot of people in IT, and I had spoken to this one case study story I would like to tell you. This girl who was extremely good in her studies, she joined the IT field, and she was a top performer in her firm for quite a few years. Then she got married, had a child, and then her colleagues, she would make fun of her, saying, you see only, you don't know the height of your child, because when you come from home, your child is sleeping. When you go back home, your child is sleeping. So you hardly see the child. So, and because of all that, she decided to put in her papers. And when she decided to put in her papers, she was so good. In those days, work from home was never the practice of, companies never used to give that, even when most of the companies never used to give that, even when the children were sick or some dire necessity. But because she was so good, they offered her a part-time job or this. And she joined part-time, but then she said, ma'am, I could see my position slowly going down, because now none of the dynamic projects will come to me. Dynamic projects are projects which have deadlines. You might have to work at 9 towards project end. Either it's erratic work, when they don't have, they are on the bench, but when they have work comes in loads, and they have to stay till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and those with caring responsibilities are not able to meet those kind of others. So what happens is, she said, now I can see only less dynamic projects coming to me, and naturally my position is going down. That's why I said the policies, and those days they never used to allow work from home also. And all those kind of others, we have seen a lot of women who resign, or they don't opt for promotion of positions of responsibility. Even if the company say we'll put you on fast track to promote you, they say no, we don't want, because then our family suffers. So because of this, there was a lot of gender equality, and there was a clear glass ceiling. But COVID has induced a number of changes in the policies, and now that is allowed. But I don't know. Again, we have to, lot of research is needed in this area, because now it's a double-edged weapon. Companies are using, it is not giving a choice to the people. As Amartya Sen will say, you should give a choice to the employee. And the woman has to take a decision. It should be her decision. It should not be forced from above or the company. But now companies are allowing work from home. I don't know, maybe to reduce the electricity cost or space or whatever it is. So this is an area that requires a lot of research, because the choice should be left to the woman to decide what best suits her. And it is not a privilege. I would say it's not a privilege granted to her, but it is, she's doing a socially responsible role of bringing up a future generation. Okay. That is regarding quite a few of the educated, because most of the educated are into the IT sector and other kind of hectic work. Thus, now coming to the less educated, and I would say there is generally an absence of choice, especially as I said in the non-IT sector, lot of absence of choice, and that is where most of them resign, and even if they have a job, they resign, and there is a voluntary withdrawal, and they stay at home. Now, it is here that the nano entrepreneurship at grassroots level emerges as a feasible option. In Kerala context, as I said earlier, Kerala is not well known for entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship was not very accepted, but the policies of both the central government and the state government, Make in India, Startup India, all these, the emphasis that is given to entrepreneurship has brought about a cultural change. It's a gradual change, but there is a cultural change. And I would say that it is now more accepted. Entrepreneurship as a means of livelihood has become more respectable you find youngsters proudly saying that we are working in a startup, or we are going to start a venture, which was not the case quite a few years ago. So I would say that it is this policy change which has brought about a cultural acceptance. And second is also another thing from my own experience as an educationist, what I have found is this policy change is also reflected in pan sectors. If you look at the UGC or the guidelines for NAC accreditation of institutions, their incubation plays a factor. NIRF ranking of educational institutions, incubation is a factor. So all that also encourages educational institutions to encourage entrepreneurship and startups. And research institutions are now being asked the question, in what way are you supporting local business? And so because of all these finance, the banks are being encouraged to lend to entrepreneurs. Because of all these policy changes, pan sectors, there is a I would say a spark of interest that is coming up in entrepreneurship. And it is here that Kerala holds a lot of opportunities for women with literacy and extensive mobile coverage that we have. As I was telling at the beginning, I was amazed at all my co-panelists that how easily they adopted, downloaded WebEx, which normally it's only the academicians who use, and but everyone in Kerala has access to internet, generally mobiles, everything, and that holds immense potential, as I would say from some of my examples. So this, with this background of this, I would now like to go into a few case studies or illustrations. As I said, these were some of the case studies that came up during a media competition which I was judging, and I was amazed, and I'm so happy that I'm getting this opportunity to share the experience that I got with the rest of people from the rest of India and abroad also. Now, let me take the case study one, that is Kurkumil brand, Geetha Saleesh. She is from Trichur district. And I would say I would really give a salute to her because she is one of three children of a goldsmith, the eldest and only daughter with two younger brothers. She lost her eyesight while studying in 10th standard. And, you know, both her brothers also had the similar problem. But while her brothers were put in some hostels to study Braille, her parents they were, of course, just goldsmiths. They didn't know her father particularly. She had to battle and say, no, I also want to study. See, they did not send her, not because they were not concerned. They did not send her just because she's a girl and they were worried about her safety, how she will manage. But she insisted that she wanted to study. She joined a special center for this, studied Braille. Then she came back. See, these are some of the challenges that none of us ever think about. She had to travel about 6 kilometers, 2 kilometers walking and 4 kilometers bus to go to the nearest college. She's joined, so she's joined for pre-degree and her degree bachelor's in political science. She stayed in the hostel, she studied, and then she decided to get married to one of her classmates. Again, she faced a lot of problem because it is an intercaste marriage. The boy was from a lower caste, so naturally her father objected to that. And the boy's parents were very worried whether she will be able to manage, whether he will have to take care of her throughout her life. So she was very determined that she will be independent. And independent in everything. She managed her family. She's got 3 children, all that. She was also determined to be financially independent. And that is, she was thinking what she will do because she cannot going out, mobility and working is a problem for her. So the first venture she started was in 2011, where she started her own restaurant in Trichur. She took up, and now I'm talking in terms of entrepreneurial because I was very interested in what pointers there are for other entrepreneurs who are seeking. First is the innovation. She's always had that spark of innovation in her, and she was even in that this she was focusing in that restaurant. She was focusing on giving products which are not commonly available in the market, like banana stem juice, healthy food, etc. And that innovation element. But after 2 years down the lane, she failed, and they had to shut down the business. But she did not give up. That is a second quality of an entrepreneur. You never give up. You learn from your failures. Okay. So they sat back and analyzed why is it that we failed. And she was telling me, madam, we learned that it was lack of financial planning. We had accounted for the financial aspect only for a very short period. But for any business to succeed, you should have at least have enough working capital to withstand 1 or 2 years. And that is where we went wrong. So they learned from their mistakes. And in 2015, the third characteristic, that is persistence. You don't give up. They joined another, Geetha's Home to Home, that you can see on address, Geetha's Home to Home brand. And there she started in a very small thing which any woman can, replicate. This she started with pure, homemade ghee, good quality ghee, pickles, etc. But that is what everybody, she didn't stop at that. She planned her next innovative product, because innovation will always give you a market. A unique feature will always get you a market. So what she did was she developed her own product. It's a blend of turmeric and dates. It is a very healthy this, and she was targeting it as spreads, food spreads, which can be put on jams, etc. for children, and also can be mixed in milk. And turmeric being a antiseptic and all medical, it was a beautiful mix. And she also did product testing and quality control with the Central Tuber Research Institute, Trivandrum, helping her to test the product and highlight its properties. Marketing testing was done. She gave it to all her friends, relatives, everything, to get the customer feedback. Based on that, completely revised the product frequently. And then they went in for trademark and branding. Kurka in Malayalam means the food that you give to babies. So they added the word meal to it, and Kurukku meal is a branding. So they have done their trademark and branding also. And this is also very interesting, okay? She wanted to ensure a raw material supply chain. So she went to the Indian Institute of Spices Research and learned all about turmeric cultivation and brought about another innovation. So not only innovation in product, but also innovation in sourcing supplies. She brought and took quality seeds and ensured a linkage with farmers. And how did she connect to the farmers? These are all important lessons for everyone. Through the panchayats, farmers organizations, she connected to them and said, we will give you this quality seeds and we will take back your product at an assured price. So the farmers are also benefited, assured market price, assured no hassles of marketing or fallen price or everything. And another innovation was, she was saying, they had this, turmeric normally has a harvesting time and a sowing time, planting time, and a harvesting time. So when everything happens at the same time, what she said was, the loads would come together at the harvesting time, and they found it difficult to handle such huge quantities. So they brought in a variable production cycle. And then the major challenge was irrigation. And she said, see, we can't depend on rain because now climate is, anyway, we can't depend on rain-fed agriculture now because of climate change. As we were talking about, it's so erratic. So what they did was they identified a few households which have irrigation irrigation facilities, minimum 10 cents of land, and then had a tie-up with them. And now, she coordinates, they cultivate this turmeric for about 54 acres, which is buying back from 315 farmers and processing 400 tons of this Kurkumil brand. And as I said, institutional linkages are very important for entrepreneurs. She has that with the Central Tuber Research, with Spices Research Institute, panchayats, farmers organizations. So all these are very critical, was very critical. She's also has a linkage with the District Industries Center, and she's availed the Prime Minister's Employment Guarantee Program to get loan for machinery and subsidies and all that. But she's also had problems. This is another thing. She was saying, because I was blind, the banks earlier did not have a policy. They did not have the confidence. Just like how her in-laws did not have confidence whether she would be able to manage, they did not have the confidence whether she will be able to run a business. So there were problems of this, and it is all these people who helped her. The District Industry Center also helped her in getting food license and all. And now, as I said, just because of our Government of India policy focusing on startups and incubations, she is a mentor of the Raftar Agri Business Incubator of Kerala Agriculture University, Trichy. So that now that system, that ecosystem is also helping her with all this. And The marketing channels that she is now depending on is she markets her products with select retail outlets. She also does online sales. And I was amazed, Sharon, because she was talking about artificial intelligence and Soho, which I myself don't know much about. Okay. So I was really amazed. They have also now adopted direct selling, where they entrust one per the woman from into to market their products for two villages on a commission basis. And now her production is around 2,000 bottles per month. Now, the challenges that she highlighted is, one is a funding, because that is something that I have also seen in my experience as a support dean of incubation, and when I interact with government agencies, most of the funds that they give are just to buy machinery and equipment and physical capital. That is an old strategy, that okay, there is something physical there and the money is being properly utilized, so probably it is in that angle that they're giving it. But what happens is, equally important is the working capital. See, being a woman, as many of our previous speakers have pointed out, they have very few assets. And, so giving a security and taking a loan is not easy. Even if it is a asset, security free loan, many families will not encourage their women to take loans. So working capital is a big issue. And second, as Geetha herself was pointing out, there is a lot of capital and money needed for marketing, because in product, you need to invest in product and promote development. You need to have content. You need to have good quality photos, videos, content development. All that requires money. So all this is not a part of financing aspect right now, the subsidy aspect or the grant. Lot of grants are there, but only for the physical. This is one policy change that is absolutely needed to support such women entrepreneurs. And now she's scaling up, because earlier it was a proprietorship, as we have seen Geetha's home to home. Now they are shifting to a private limited company. And what she's also saying is, till now, the focus was mainly on Geetha as a person. Now she said that is not durable. I don't want to focus on me as a person. I would like the focus to be on the product, on the brand, and the quality of the product. That is what they are striving for. So with this, I would like to invite Geetha to join. Geetha, your video is on. If that now since I have presented this case, what I thought I'll do is, I'll ask the participants if they have one critical question they would like to ask her, they can, and we might have to I might have to translate it if necessary. And for each of these participants, we will have one critical question. That's just to, for time management. And at the end of it, the floor can be open for anybody to ask any questions to all the people. Geetha, now, anyone wants to ask a question, and Geetha wants to say something, Geethയ്ക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും പറയാനുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അതും പറയാം. I'll translate it for you. Or anyone has a question for Geetha?
Sir, will Geetha only understand Malayalam?
Geethയ്ക്ക് English മനസ്സിലാവോ?
Yes, ma'am.
She is understanding, but her communication, she's slightly worried. So if she has a problem, I'll help her out.
Sure. I just had a question. If others have, I'm open to that. But I was thinking, many times in a young enterprise, there are also problems in management, filing tax statements, in addition to procuring inputs, which she handled, even marketing her output. So while you have explained our finance and input things, I was wondering, how did she handle the human resources, tax statements, and the marketing of her final product?
Geetha, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇപ്പൊ റോ മെറ്റീരിയലിന്റെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സ് എംപ്ലോയീസിനെയൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഡീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് ഇതാക്കുന്നത്, ആൻഡ് ആ രണ്ട് ആംഗിളും. ആൻഡ് വാട്ട് എൽസ്, ചരൺ? ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സസ്, മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് ആൻഡ്
and tax returns and tax complications
returns
with
of
the government.
GST അങ്ങനത്തെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ടാക്സുകളും
Compliances, with government compliances of labor and financial.
ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ അതൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഡീൽ ചെയ്തിരുന്നത്?
ഇപ്പോ നമ്മൾ നേരിട്ട് കർഷകരെ കണ്ടെത്തുന്നു. വാട്സപ്പ് ഗ്രൂപ്പുകളിൽ കൂടെ നമുക്ക് മെസ്സേജുകളായിട്ട് വരുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിനനുസരിച്ച് നമ്മൾ ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ മഞ്ഞൾ കൃഷി ചെയ്യാത്ത സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലുള്ള ആളുകളെയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് രാസവളം ഉപയോഗിക്കാത്ത ഭൂമി, ഇത് രണ്ടും നിർബന്ധമാണ്. ഇറിഗേഷൻ ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കണം. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനത്തെ നമ്മളെ കർഷകരെയാണ് നമ്മൾ സെലക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതിനുശേഷം അവർക്ക് നമ്മളൊരു ഗൈഡ് ലൈൻസ് കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അതായത് കൃഷി ഏതൊക്കെ രീതിയിലാണ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്, ഓരോ മാസങ്ങളിൽ എന്തൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണം, വിളവെടുക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് എന്തൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണം, അങ്ങനെ ഫുൾ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് അതിന്റെ ഒരു ഡാറ്റ നമ്മൾ കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ആ ഡാറ്റ അനുസരിച്ചായിരിക്കണം അവര് കൃഷി ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്. പിന്നെ നമ്മുടെ കമ്പനിയിൽ നിന്ന് 5 നമ്മളെ
കേട്ടില്ല.
5 തവണ നമ്മൾ അവിടെ വിസിറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ക്രോപ്പ് എടുക്കുന്നതിന് തൊട്ട് മുമ്പായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ജൈവ രീതിയിൽ തന്നെയാണോ കൃഷി ചെയ്തെന്നുള്ളതിന്റെ ടെസ്റ്റിനായിരിക്കും. രാസവളം ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന് അറിയാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ടെസ്റ്റിനായിരിക്കും. അങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മളത് കൺഫേം ചെയ്യുന്നത് ജൈവ രീതിയാണോ എന്നുള്ളത്.
Okay, Charan, the first aspect regarding how she manages so many farmers, what she says is first itself they advertise in the group and send messages in the farmers groups that there are 3 conditions. One is the farmers should have organic farming, they should have irrigation facilities, and they should also have land which has not been used for turmeric, and they give clear guidelines. This is how the cultivation should be. Only if you are ready for this, you need come join us, and clear guidelines are given. They handhold them in this. So, and their person, she has people who will visit that place at least 5 times. And before she handles, so these are all very clearly set out. And before they take the crop, one person goes to ensure, test that it is organic. So all these together ensure that since the guidelines are, ഇതില് വല്ല കോൺട്രാക്റ്റോ എന്തെങ്കിലും സൈൻ ചെയ്യോ ഗീത?
നമ്മൾ MOU സൈൻ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. ഫസ്റ്റ് നമ്മൾ സീഡ് കൊടുക്കുന്ന ടൈമിൽ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ MOU സൈൻ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്.
Okay, so they sign an MOU. Geetha, MOU സൂക്ഷിക്കണം. MOU is not enforceable in a court. Or Samadhan. Only thing is they generally, that is a problem with many. She says they sign an MOU. So I was just warning her that MOU is not enforceable in a court of law. Only contracts are. But anyway, that is how she's operating. Okay. ഇനി രണ്ടാമത്തെ ചോദിക്കുന്ന മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് ആരാണ്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യുന്നത്?
മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് നമ്മള് ഇപ്പൊ നേരിട്ടാണ് നമ്മള്.
എനിക്ക് തോന്നാട്ടാ ഇത് മൊത്തത്തില് ഗീതയുടെ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് അല്ലേ ഹെൽപ്പ് ചെയ്യണേ?
അതെ അതെ, ഒപ്പം ഹസ്ബൻഡ് ഉണ്ട്. പിന്നെ അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമുക്കൊരു ടീം തന്നെ ഉണ്ട്. ഇപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ബ്രാൻഡിങ് ആണെങ്കിൽ വേൾഡ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു കമ്പനിയാണ് ബ്രാൻഡിങ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പിന്നെ GSTക്ക് നമ്മള് ഒരു കമ്പനിയെ ഏൽപ്പിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. GST അക്കൗണ്ട്സ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് അല്ലേ വെച്ചാൽ
മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ്.
പിന്നെ ഇതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മളൊരു ടീമാണ് അവിടെ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ അതിനൊരു മാനേജ്മെന്റ് സിസ്റ്റം ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട് കമ്പനിയുടെ ഉള്ളിൽ. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നമുക്കത് കുറച്ചുകൂടി സ്മൂത്ത് ആയിട്ട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും.
See, Charan, her husband was into marketing earlier also. Okay, so he knows marketing and he helps her a lot in now he is full-time helping her also in marketing and all this aspects, and they also have a professional team to help take care of marketing. And the tax and all, she has entrusted a tax consultant. That is who they help her in tax consultancy.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, so shall we move to the next case study?
Sure.
Can I ask?
Yeah. Okay, one more question and then we will go. Yes, sir.
I am a fellow Malayali. Congratulations to Geetha. I have two things, but in the form of one question. One is, Kerala is notorious for bureaucratization. How she could break that? Second, Kerala consumers are also brand conscious. How she could defeat or displace multinational products? Thank you.
എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഗവൺമെന്റ് ആൾക്കാരൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് ഡീൽ ചെയ്യണത്? ഭയങ്കര ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഇതല്ലേ, ചുവപ്പ് നാടയല്ലേ, എങ്ങനെയാണ് അത് ഡീൽ ചെയ്തത്? രണ്ട്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ ബ്രാൻഡഡ് സാധനങ്ങൾ വരുമ്പോൾ അതിനെ പിടിച്ച് നമ്മുടെ പ്രോഡക്റ്റിനെ പുഷ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്?
ഇതൊരു ന്യൂ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ആണ്, അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നമുക്കൊരു കോമ്പറ്റേറ്റർ ഇല്ല ഇതില്. അത് നമുക്കൊരു പോസിറ്റീവ് ആണ്. അതിലപ്പുറം അതിൽ സ്ട്രഗിളും ഉണ്ട്. കാരണം നമുക്ക് കസ്റ്റമേഴ്സിനെ എഡ്യൂക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണതിന് അത്രയും ടൈം എടുക്കും, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മണി സ്പെൻഡ് വരുന്നുണ്ട് അവിടെ. ആ രണ്ട് കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട്. പിന്നെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരിക്കലും ഒരു പാർട്ടി ഒന്നും നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. നമ്മൾ ഫുൾ കോൺസെൻട്രേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് പ്രൊഡക്റ്റിൽ മാത്രമാണ്. ആ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് എത്ര നന്നായി ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും, ആ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് കസ്റ്റമേഴ്സിലേക്ക് എത്തുമ്പോൾ അവർക്ക് എന്ത് റിസൾട്ട് കിട്ടും, അത് നമ്മൾ ഷുഗർ ആക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് മാത്രമാണ്. നല്ല പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് കൊടുക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് മാത്രമാണ് ഞാൻ കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ നമ്മൾ കർഷകരെ ഒരുമിച്ച് നിർത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. ആ കർഷകർക്ക് നല്ലൊരു ബെനിഫിറ്റും കൂടി നമുക്ക് കൊടുക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ആഗ്രഹം, ആ ഒരു രീതിയിലാണ് ഞാൻ ഫോക്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ മണ്ണിൽ നിന്ന് എടുക്കുന്ന പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് നമ്മുടെ കസ്റ്റമേഴ്സിന്റെ കയ്യിൽ എത്തുമ്പോഴും അതിന് ആ പ്യുവറിറ്റി ഉണ്ടാവണം എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ, അതിൽ മാത്രമാണ് ഞാൻ കൂടുതൽ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുന്നത്.
So what she says is, Charan, that they're focusing on the purity of the products, and there is no competing product in the market, which is including turmeric and other things, which have immense medical value. Okay. And so she's focusing on ensuring that the product is organic, no chemicals, and that is her strength. But again, since there is no competing product, it is again a problem because she has to educate the customers about the quality of the product. That is an opportunity as well as a challenge. So she's now focusing on the challenge of educating the consumers to ensure that the product is highlighted as a alternative for the children. And I think, sir, in my personal view, the testing and the as an business incubation, the product testing by reputed labs will add credibility to the quality of the product also. That is, as a consumer, that I think that will add value to me if as a person. ഇനി എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ വല്ല പ്രോബ്ലംസ് ഒക്കെ ബ്യൂറോ ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു ബിസിനസ് തുടങ്ങുമ്പോഴുള്ള പ്രോബ്ലംസ് ഡീൽ ചെയ്യാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
ഇല്ല, നിലവിൽ അങ്ങനത്തെ വേറെ ഇഷ്യൂസ് വന്നിട്ടില്ല. പിന്നെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാല് നമുക്കൊരു ഈ ഒരു ഡിസേബിൾ ആയതിന്റെ പുറത്തുണ്ടാവുന്ന ഒരു പ്രശ്നം എന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്ക് ബാങ്കിൽ നിന്നുള്ള ലോൺ കിട്ടാനുള്ള ചെറിയൊരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോ ഞാൻ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ബാങ്കിനെ സമീപിച്ചു. അത്ര മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ.
Charan, it is the problem that mainly she had is not from the government but from the banking here, that they refused to give a loan to her first bank, so she approached the next bank and then she got the loan. Okay, so I'm sure everyone will be having a lot of questions to ask because she's such an inspiring story. But let us move on to, because we also have other inspiring stories, and at the end we'll come back to Geetha. ഇതിൽ ഉണ്ടാവണേ അവസാനം വരെ നമുക്ക് ബാക്കി ചോദ്യങ്ങൾ നമുക്ക് അവസാനം. And thank you for joining us. But please continue to be online. Yeah. So we go to the next case. Okay. This is another amazing case of Bincy James. That is when we realize that none of us are anything. She's a farmer come social influencer from Idukki district, which is facing a lot of, in the Western Ghats, which is facing a lot of landslides and issues now. And she has studied only up to 9th standard. She comes from an estate laborer family. Both her parents are laborers in the tea estate. Her husband is also a laborer in the tea estate. She was also a laborer in the tea estate. And since 2018, they just have owned 9 cents of land and a small house in that. She used to cultivate vegetables in her own kitchen garden. And if you know the terrain of the Western Ghats, it is, very undulating. Her house was going down deep into down the hill. And her cultivation was going deep down. There was only a narrow path and which were traversed by 2-3 families staying nearby. So her vegetable garden was visible only to those 2-3 family members who used to use the path. Whenever there is a function in their house and visitors come, they would all stand and admire her garden and say, what a lovely this and this. So that automatically made her think that, okay, my garden is something good and my crop is good. So I would like to show this. How can I showcase this to the outside world? That is when she heard about WhatsApp. She did not have a smartphone. One of her friends gave her an old smartphone. She went to an internet cafe to learn Facebook. And there, what she was telling, interestingly, she was telling me the people there were warning her, see, Facebook, if you upload photos, there can be a lot of misuse. So if you use it without knowledge, you can get into trouble, everything. So she replied, I just want to showcase my crop and my garden to others. I'm not going to. So she started uploading photos. Slowly, as she started in 2000, this was started in 6 years ago in 2017. When she started uploading photos, other members who are also, having a green mind, vegetable cultivation, she joined those social groups. They started telling her, she just posted a photo because she didn't know anything else. She just learned how to take a photo and post it. They told her, this is not how you post a photo. You have to write small captions about this. So she slowly started putting captions, and initially there was a lot of errors in that. And then she said, no, I learned writing and I learned how to effective communication through this. She slowly started getting views. And then one or two of the people, Munnar being, Idiki being a tourist center, when people also, one or two people who knew about her, they started physically visiting her garden, and all of them were really admiring her. All this was a motivation for her to take a risk. And they decided to adopt farming as a profession rather than hobby. And this was the ideation stage of this. Now she's another risk taker. She pledged her sole ownership. I don't think many of would have the guts to do that. Pledged her 9 cents of land and house, because that was not a place which is accessible to anybody. Leased 2 acres of land in a far off place. Stayed in an old cowshed there and toiled hard to yield results. By the time they brought out the first crop, came our 2018 floods and the entire crop was destroyed. So she says, I lost all hope. I didn't know what to do. All my house is leased, pledged. I don't have money. My crop is gone. But she did not give up. She faced another trait of an entrepreneur, the guts to face adversities. So she said, I just posted in my social media group. This is where a social media group can also emerge as a potential source of strength. They said, now what next? I don't know what next. So one of her Facebook friends, she asked what, majority did not ask, but one asked what happened. Then she said, I lost my crop. So they gave her a small financial assistance of some 18,000 or something. With that, they restarted the entire cultivation. They got the crop. Then the question was, where do you market it? So when you want to market it, in Idiki, everyone has you will not get a good market price. Then she learned about, this is where your strategy also plays a role. She learned about a market in Ernakulam district, which is a village market. So she asked them, and seeing her zeal, they gave her special permission to come and sell her products. So every week she would come, harvest a crop, and come all the way from Idiki to Ernakulam to sell her a product there. And then she also started sales online. And that was a period when Google Pay was not common. So this is another strategy that people who do not have access to Google Pay can also use. She used the post office and the district, transport system, the courier system of the district transport this. And she would pack and sell her products on a cash against delivery system. That was how she initially managed. Now she has also got Google Pay. Now, revenue model, that is again very important, because sale of crops alone was not enough to make it sustainable, especially since she's following organic cultivation. So she also started online sales of seeds, and now she's earning income from social media. And she's also now into diversification. Future idea is to act as consultants for people wanting to set up vegetable gardens. So see, there is a lot of product diversification and seeking different revenue models, all of which are whole important lessons for people who are into such businesses. And she another innovation that they did was her daughter had posted a video of us in 2022. That is when she says, I started becoming she's now over 2 lakh followers in her social media platform. She posted a video on Instagram, and that video was connected to Facebook. And then the followers increased from mere 300 to over 2 lakh, and now she has an active social media presence. So she says, I have learned a lot of things, that social media is a great leveler because you get to interact with different social strata. You get to meet people from different social strata with different knowledge skills. And there it is all just one common interest. So that's a great leveler. And that has facilitated her in writing and communication skills. And her key takeaway point that she emphasized was, everyone judges success just on the basis of finance alone. Success need not be finance alone. A recognition and people recognizing her activity and her production on the social media is also a great motivation for her to continue. And now, as I said, she's also diversifying into additional revenue channels through consultancy and setting up farms. But again, the challenges are, she's working, even now she's working on lease amount. At least she's taking, she doesn't have own extensive own land for cultivation. So she's taking land on lease. So there is a frequent need to shift from area of cultivation due to lack of ownership. These are some of the challenges she faced. But she amazed me that when I myself am only a WhatsApp person, I'm not even active on Instagram or Telegram or whatever it is. A 9th standard, a person with a 9th standard education, how she used the social media to improve her business. And this is a fabulous story, which is, I've thought, worth holding lessons, because now social media can help you get markets rather than traditional this. So Geetha, Bincy, over to you. And if anyone wants to ask a question, you're welcome to ask. Bincy, is your video on?
Video off ano?
I think your video is off now. Can you just on it?
Ipo okay ayo?
No, I can't see you. Charan or yes, your video is on. Yes.
Professor, this is really an amazing story. But what is Bincy's plans for the future? Like you said, the lease amount is exorbitant. So she probably will, once she has more financial power, she'll probably buy the land and then. But what is her plans for the future that she has?
എന്താണ് ഫ്യൂച്ചറിൽ പ്ലാന് ബിൻസിയുടെ? ലാൻഡ് മേടിക്കുക സ്വന്തം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ബിൻസിയുടെ ഡ്രീം എന്നറിയാം. ഷി ഓൾസോ ആസ് യു സെഡ് ചരൺ, ഷി had already shared that her dream is to buy her own land. But what is your ഇപ്പൊ ഉടനെ ഉള്ള പ്ലാനുകൾ എന്താണ്?
നമുക്കിപ്പോ നമ്മളുടെ കൃഷി തുടർന്നുകൊണ്ട് പോകുക എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു വലിയ സ്വപ്നമാണ്. കാരണം അത് നിർത്തിയാൽ നമുക്ക് പിന്നീട് അതാണ് നമ്മുടെ മെന്റലി പോലും നമുക്ക് അത്ര ഇതായിരിക്കത്തില്ല. പിന്നെ എന്റെ പ്ലാൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സ്വന്തമായിട്ടൊരു സ്ഥലം മേടിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതും, അതിന്റെ കൂടെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾക്ക് ഒരുപാട് ചാൻസസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഇപ്പം സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയ ആയിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടിട്ട് ഒരുപാട് പേര് നമ്മുടെ കൃഷി കാണാൻ വരാനും താമസിക്കാൻ വരാനും അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ നമുക്കൊരു ഹോം സ്റ്റേ പോലെ ചെയ്യണം. ഒരു നല്ല ഒരു പച്ചക്കറി തോട്ടത്തിനകത്ത് ഒരു ഹോം സ്റ്റേ ചെയ്യണം. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ബിസിനസ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യണം. മാത്രമല്ല നമ്മളെപ്പോലെ തന്നെ കുറെ പേരെ ഇതിനകത്തേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഞാൻ അതിനുവേണ്ടി ശ്രമിച്ചുകൊണ്ടും ഇരിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അതാണ് നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു ഫ്യൂച്ചർ പ്ലാൻ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇതിനകത്ത് തന്നെ കൃഷി തന്നെ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യുക, അതിനെ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് വേറൊരു ലെവലിലേക്ക് ഉയർത്തുക, ഹോം സ്റ്റേ പോലെയൊക്കെ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ സാമ്പത്തികമായിട്ടുള്ള.
Charan, what she says is, see, she is planning to project, she's continuing agriculture, but she's also planning to club it with tourism, because many people are coming to see her farm and the various crops. So she's also planning to set up a homestay where they can enjoy the rustic life as well as the vegetables and cultivation. And she's also, as I earlier, she's also looking into a diverse revenue channel of helping people setting up their own vegetable farms or small cultivation plots, or she's offering consultancy and things like that. So these are the, but ultimately she's also planning to develop it into a homestay, because she's in Idiki, which is also a tourism this.
Thank you.
Can I ask?
Okay, one more question. Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Again, congratulations. Very hopeful innovation. My query is, when the scale of operations enlarge, there emerges the problem of wage labor. And in Kerala now, agriculture labor is a big problem. And how would they overcome this crisis? Now, another question is, now they are using social media very effectively, but in social media, I think the problem of cheating occasionally happens. She had any such incident? These are my two questions. Again, thank you very much. Congratulations.
രണ്ട് ചോദ്യമാണ് ബെൻസി. ഒന്ന്, എന്താ വെച്ചാല് ഇനിയിപ്പം നിങ്ങൾ കൃഷി വലുതായി വരുമ്പോ നിങ്ങളുടെ തന്നെ സ്വന്തം പ്രയത്നം മതിയാവാതെ വരും. അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോ പുറമേ നിന്ന് നമ്മൾ ലേബറേഴ്സിനെ എടുക്കുമ്പോ അത് മാനേജ് ചെയ്യും. ഭയങ്കര ഇതല്ലേ, കൂലി അധികം ആവുമ്പോ നിങ്ങൾ എങ്ങനെ മാനേജ് ചെയ്യും? ഒന്നാമത്തെ ചോദ്യം. രണ്ടാമത്തെ ചോദ്യം, ഈ സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയയും ഓൺലൈൻ പേയ്മെന്റും ഒക്കെ വരുമ്പോ പറ്റിക്കപ്പെടലിന് നല്ലൊരു ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്, ആൾക്കാർ പറ്റിക്കാൻ. അങ്ങനെ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു അനുഭവം ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
ഒന്നാമത് നമ്മളുടെ ഒരു സ്ഥലത്തിന്റെ കിടപ്പ് വെച്ചിട്ട്, അതായത് ഇടുക്കിയുടെ സ്ഥലങ്ങളെല്ലാം മല പോലുള്ള സ്ഥലങ്ങളല്ലേ, അവിടെ നമുക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും മെഷീനറികൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യാം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അത് നമുക്ക് പോസിബിൾ അല്ല. വളരെ കുറച്ച് മെഷീനറികൾ മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. അതുകൊണ്ട് നമുക്ക് ലേബറിനെ തന്നെ, ജോലിക്കാരെ തന്നെ വെച്ചിട്ട് മാത്രമേ അക്കാര്യങ്ങൾ നടക്കുള്ളൂ. പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഓൾറെഡി ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന കാര്യം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഡ്രിപ്പ് ഇറിഗേഷൻ, മൾച്ചിങ് പോലെയുള്ള കൃഷി രീതികളാണ്. ഹൈടെക് കൃഷി രീതികളിലേക്ക് കൂടെ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് കൂടുതൽ ലേബർ വേണ്ടി വരുന്നില്ല. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു കാര്യം നമുക്കുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നമ്മളുടെ മലയോര മേഖല ആയതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് മെഷീനറികൾ വെച്ചിട്ട് അധികം ജോലികൾ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. ലേബറിനെ തന്നെ നമ്മൾ ആശ്രയിക്കേണ്ടി വരും.
പിന്നെ അവിടെ ലേബർ അവൈലബിളും ആണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു അല്ലെ? അത്രയും നമ്മുടെ മറ്റു സ്ഥലങ്ങൾ മാതിരി അത്ര വിലയുള്ളതല്ല.
അവിടെ കിട്ടാനുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ രണ്ടാമത്തെ ചീറ്റിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, എന്നെ അറിയാവുന്ന ആളുകളാണ് നമ്മളോട് ഓരോ സാധനങ്ങളും വാങ്ങിക്കുന്നത് സോഷ്യൽ മീഡിയ വഴിയൊക്കെ. അപ്പൊ ഒരിക്കലും അവരിനെ ചീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ശ്രമിക്കുകയില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു വിശ്വാസം. എന്നാൽ നമ്മൾ അത്ര ഇതായിട്ട് കണക്കും കാര്യങ്ങളും കൃത്യമായിട്ട് അത് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. കാരണം അതിനുള്ള നമുക്ക് കൃഷിയും ഇതെല്ലാം കൂടെ വരുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഇച്ചിരി ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ട്. എങ്കിലും എന്നാൽ എനിക്ക് ഗോവയിൽ നിന്നും ഒരു ചീറ്റിംഗ്, ഒരു 10,000 രൂപയുടെ ഒരു വിത്ത് നമ്മൾ അഡ്വാൻസ് പോലും വാങ്ങിക്കാതെ അയച്ചു കൊടുത്തു. ആ ഒരു ചീറ്റിംഗ് എനിക്ക് ഒരു 10,000 രൂപയുടെ ഒരു അന്നൊക്കെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആ 10,000 രൂപ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമ്മളുടെ വലിയൊരു, നമ്മൾ കുമളിയിൽ ഒരു 3 വർഷം മുമ്പാണെന്ന് കരുതുന്നു. ആ സമയത്തൊക്കെ നമ്മുടെ വലിയൊരു ലോസ് ആയിരുന്നു ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞാൽ. അല്ലാതെ വേറെ ചീറ്റ് ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മളോട് മോശമായിട്ട് പോലും ഒരാൾ സംസാരിക്കാറില്ല.
പക്ഷെ അത് പൈസ മേടിച്ചിട്ട് അയച്ചു കൊടുത്താൽ മതിയായിരുന്നില്ലേ?
മതിയായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ അതൊരു മലയാളിയായിരുന്നു. ആ ആളുടെ സംസാരമൊക്കെ വളരെ
Okay. So Charan, the questions, the reply is, one is, since it is a Western Ghats area and undulating terrain, heavy machinery, too much of intense use of machinery is not possible. So they have to depend on labor itself. But as far as possible, they have tried to reduce labor requirements by using drip irrigation in mulching and high-tech farming, wherever possible, whatever extent possible. But otherwise, apart from that, heavy machinery is not possible. So they have to depend on labor. And being Idiki and a rural, and it's on the borderline of Tamil Nadu and all that, so labor is not so expensive. So they're still managing with labor. And second case is, she says most of her clients are people whom she has met on the social media platform, who have confidence. So generally, she has the belief that they will not cheat, but she has not been able to keep exact track of whether the financial accounting aspects. But she has had one clear case of cheating. A person from Goa who ordered 10,000 rupees worth of seeds from her, and once they delivered the seeds, he did not pay up. That was quite a significant amount for her, and she believed him because he was a Malayali, and so she transferred she sent the seeds without. So she has had one experience of such cheating.
Hello.
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 Yes.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Okay, fine. Please.
I was asking that how much family labor she used.
എത്ര ഫാമിലി ലേബർ, എത്ര പേരാണ് ഫാമിലി ലേബർ ആയിട്ടാണ് അവിടെ നിങ്ങളുടെ ഫാമിൽ ഉപയോഗിച്ചിരുന്നത്?
ഫാമിലി ലേബർ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോ എങ്ങനെയാ മാഡം?
അതായത് എനിക്ക് ഒന്ന് ഐ തിങ്ക് ഐ മൈസെൽഫ് നോ ദി ആൻസർ ടു ദാറ്റ്. അതായത് ബിൻസി ഇപ്പൊ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് പുറമെ ജോലിക്ക് പോകുന്നുണ്ടോ ബിൻസി?
ഇല്ല, ഞാൻ ഹസ്ബൻഡ് ഫുൾ ടൈം തന്നെ കൃഷിയിൽ തന്നെയാണ്. പിന്നെ മക്കൾ നന്നായിട്ട് സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്.
Okay. See, Bincy and her husband, they have stopped going out for estate work, and they full time they are into the work. And she's got 3 children. 3 കുട്ടികളല്ലേ ബിൻസി?
അതെ.
All 3 children support her significantly before going to school. They get up early in the morning, and so to a large extent they were using own family labor.
Is that thing is accounted in the profit part? Because that means hired labor plus family labor should come as a total
Exactly.
thing, no?
I know what you're going to talk about, whether when the amount of labor, if you put it into it, whether it is worth the returns are worth it, right?
Yes, I was thinking that isn't it happening that they are working, means Bincy ma'am is working in her own farm as a hired labor.
Yes, but see, from my perspective, if I say, I would say that, she is such a example to others, and that is why she said finance is not the only motivation. The answer is there. The motivation for success is not just in finance. It is the recognition, she's won so many awards. You can't count the number of awards that she's got. Etra award kitti Bincy? 59 awards, including the best farmer award and things like that. Okay. So,
കർഷക തിലകം.
That's great, sir.
Karshaka Tilagam and all that. So that is also a great motivation for her. But what you rightly pointed out, I think she's not exactly looked at the financial feasibility vis-a-vis the opportunity cost or that kind of analysis. I don't think they have done to that. But that is why she said the motivation itself, the recognition that you get is a very good reward. And she's earned enough to pay off all her loans that she had taken for pledging her land when she started the first cultivation. Okay.
Madam, if I may interrupt, may I?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Thank you very much. I'm Nair Rajesh Nair. Madam, it's really an inspiring story. But let me be frank. Recognition, that's okay. ഇതൊരു ടൈം വരെ നമുക്ക് നല്ല കാര്യം തന്നെയാണ്, മോട്ടിവേഷൻ ഒക്കെ നല്ല കാര്യം തന്നെയാണ്. When we were in school, colleges, I had my MBA. So ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഒത്തിരി കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ എത്തിക്സിനകത്ത് പഠിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. But end of the day, you try to realize ഈ ബിൻസി മാഡം, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ബിസിനസ് നിലനിർത്തണമെങ്കിൽ ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ, കാരണം വെൻ യു സ്പീക്ക് അബൌട്ട് ദ ബിസിനസ്, ഇന്ന് ഓക്കെ ഇത് കൊച്ചതായിരിക്കും, പക്ഷെ നാളെ അത് വളരുമ്പം ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ഓൺലി your responsibility is not only your own or nearby, but also the guys who are surrounded by you. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ ബിസിനസ്സിനകത്ത് ആരൊക്കെ കൂടെ ഉണ്ടോ, ഇപ്പൊ ഒരാൾ 1 മണിക്കൂറെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങളുടെ കൂടെ ഉണ്ട്, ദാറ്റ് സിംപ്ലി മീൻസ് കി അവരുടെ ടൈമും അവരുടെ പൈസയും കൺസ്യൂം ആവുന്നുണ്ട്. സോ യു ഹാവ് ടു എൻഷുർ അവരുടെ പൈസ എങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് ഏൺ ചെയ്ത് അവർക്ക് കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റും. സോ ദാറ്റ് ഷുഡ് ബി ദ മെയിൻ ഫിലോസഫി ബിഹൈൻഡ് യുവർ ബിസിനസ്. മോട്ടിവേഷൻ നമുക്ക് ഒത്തിരി അവാർഡ്സ് കിട്ടി, 60 അവാർഡ്സ് കിട്ടി, അതൊക്കെ ഓക്കെ, ദാറ്റ്സ് ഓക്കെ. കേരളം അത് ഏത് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് വേണമെങ്കിൽ അവാർഡ്സ് തരും. ബട്ട് എൻഡ് ഓഫ് ദ ഡേ യു ഹാവ് ടു എൻഷുർ യുവർ ബിസിനസ് ഷുഡ് ബി ഡ്രൈവിംഗ് too long and it should expand. For that, ultimately money is something which you have to consider at any cost. Am I right, Principal Madam?
Yeah, perfectly. That is why she's looking at the consultancy aspect and the tourism aspect also.
Yes, but the thing is, you have many options nowadays. Like as we say, ഒത്തിരി ടെക്നോളജി ഒക്കെ കൂടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ ഇന്ന് പ്രശ്നം എന്താ വരുന്നതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാല് many of our friends, like I'm into Chamber of Commerce. So നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു ബിസിനസ് ഒരു കാലഘട്ടം വരുമ്പം വി ജസ്റ്റ് ഗെറ്റ് ഇൻ ടു ദ ടെക്നോളജി. അപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ആ ഒരു വിഷനകത്ത് ഡൈവേർഷൻ വരും. ലൈക്ക് ടെക്നോളജി കൂടി പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഓൺലൈൻ ആകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കിന് യു ക്യാൻ സീ ദാറ്റ് നമ്മുടെ ഓൺലൈൻ വരുമാനം നമ്മുടെ ആക്ച്വൽ വരുമാനത്തിനെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി ആയി മാറും. സോ ഇറ്റ് ഷുഡ് ബി ദ അതർ വേ റൗണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ ബിസിനസ്, നമ്മുടെ മോട്ടിവേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സാധനം അതായിരിക്കണം ഇനീഷ്യലി വരേണ്ടത്. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് സെക്കൻഡറി ആവേണ്ടത്. സോ യു ഹാവ് ടു എൻഷുർ ദാറ്റ് ആ നമ്മുടെ ബിസിനസ് ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം അത് എപ്പോഴും പ്രയോറിറ്റിക്കകത്ത് വരണം. അതിനുവേണ്ടി യു ഹാവ് ടു എൻഷുർ എവറി ടൈം, ഓരോ മിനിറ്റും നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അതിനെ എങ്ങനെ എക്സ്പാൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. നോട്ട് ഓൺലി ഓൺ നമ്മുടെ മോട്ടിവേഷണൽ ലെവൽ, പക്ഷേ മോണിറ്ററി എക്കണോമിക് ലെവൽ. കാരണം എൻഡ് ഓഫ് ദ ഡേ ബൈ ഈവനിങ് വെൻ യു സ്റ്റാർട്ട് കാൽക്കുലേറ്റിംഗ് കയ്യിൽ നിന്ന് എത്ര പോയി, കയ്യിൽ തിരിച്ച് എത്ര വന്നു, എത്ര ഞാൻ സേവ് ചെയ്തു. സേവ് ചെയ്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് ഗോയിങ് ടു റൺ ഫോർ ലോങ്. Recognition, I do agree that plays a major role.
So, yes, Bincy, that's an important. Yeah, Bincy, that's an important lesson. It's a very lesson for you that now you have to also focus on your other streams. That is your tourism and your consultancy, and build, scale up your financial returns.
Can I ask one more thing? Because I was just thinking about like you belong to St. Teresa's College. So how exactly you are trying to motivate the students to get into the entrepreneurship? Because I remember I was a youth forum 7 to 8 years back in Chamber of Commerce, and we approached college. അപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് ഒരു entrepreneurshipന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് അത്ര ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവായിട്ട് ഒരു കണ്ടില്ല, frankly speaking. But
Rajesh, I will answer that after this. That I just remind me. I won't forget. I will answer that after this. Okay, 100%.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
100%.
But Professor Nirmala, I just
Yes.
want to make one point. We are interacting with women entrepreneurs, and we are not here to counsel them, right? We are learning from them, and they are in their own rights. They have achieved what they have achieved, and that is what we have to learn. I would also like to mention, in the recent case that you have brought about this women, I really appreciate the fact that there are people in this world, in this country, and this illustration that you have given, who are not doing everything just for money. They're doing for recognition too. So this is the lesson that I have learned from your young entrepreneur, that she has been able to sustain. She is chasing a dream of recognition. And for many of us, money matters. But for now, I'm realizing for many of us, recognition also matters. So I would accept what your illustration is, and I would request the audience that we are here to learn. If anyone has a suggestion to counsel the professor or counsel the entrepreneur and say, you can do this, I would request that can be done offline. Because otherwise we'll not be able to finish it in time. At this point, let us learn from these entrepreneurs who have held on their own without our advice and guidance. Thank you.
Okay. Now, thank you, Charan. And now let me go to the third, because as you said, we are running short of time. So let us go to the. Why is it that I am not able to move? Yeah, this is another case, but this was a case where a different model where the state support and the Kudumbashri support. All of you must have been familiar with the Kerala Women's Self-Help Group, the Kudumbashri wing, which supported. See, I always have been studying Kudumbashri, and I used to feel that yes, they are a strong force for social empowerment of women, political empowerment of women. But I always used to feel from my case studies that their economic empowerment is not exactly that great, because if you consider the time that they spend vis-a-vis the returns, it is not that great. But the other two are very strong. But this is a case where I understand that Kudumbashri is also progressing. That's why I was saying the entire policy change and response to Rajesh's comment. I would say the central governments and the state governments change in policy is very critical in this context. That has made a lot of people talk about entrepreneurship. And now I find even the Kudumbashri people talking about branding and marketing. Okay, this is another case example of we have here Ramanichakrapani, who is a tribal entrepreneur. She is a tribal woman from Ernakulam district. They are around 400 families staying in a place surrounded by forests on all sides. She was a part of the Rupakala Kudumbashri unit formed in 2000 December, and they started with their thrift, starting from ₹10 a week. They did a lot of self-income earning activities like vegetable cultivation. They even conducted jungle safaris for the tourism department till the forest department stopped it. And to augment a family income, she has also learned rubber tapping. She reared cows. And when she reared cows, she would wanted to transport many a time. She has to supply the milk to the collection center, for which she has to walk 4 kilometers through the forest. So sometimes by the time she reached the point of where she could hand over the milk, the agency would have already gone. So to facilitate that such smooth transportation of the milk, she decided to learn driving in 2014 and bought a 3-wheeler, and that too taking a loan from her thrift society. So she's a risk taker also. And the ideation pathway for this came in the form of that the income from transporting milk, she not only transported her own milk, she started picking up milk of all the neighbors and transporting that in her auto and started earning income from that. And the demand, she also used to cater to demand-based transportation services, in the sense that she would not put her auto in an auto stand, because she says in an auto stand, as we normally see, a lot of time we idle and we waste our time. I don't have that kind of time to waste. So she stays at home, and people want her transportation facility, she'll call. The rest of the time she is into her vegetable cultivation, her cow rearing and things like that. And it is then that in the course of this, they also saw business potential from local resources. That is the coffee seeds it's a very area where there's a lot of coffee plants, and the coffee seeds were growing waste because plucking it was a very labor intensive process, and here as a labor is very expensive, it is not worth it. So the owners would generally not bother to pluck it or dry it. So what she did was, they had designed an innovative strategy for procuring the raw materials. They contacted these people and said, we will pluck the raw material for you. We will keep half the raw material for ourselves and we will give you the half. So rather than the raw material going waste, if they allow these people to pluck it, they get 50%, these people also get 50%. Now with that, she used to transport this to a nearby village 26 kilometers away, then hull it, because she has to hull it and remove the skin and everything, bring it back, dry the seeds, winnow it, roast it, and then comes the next innovation. They would grind it and mix it with all the traditional ingredients that their ancestors have been using to make a special type of coffee. And this is they now, then it is the Kudumbashri people. The branding, every support was helped by here we have a case where the state machinery or the bureaucracy, there are a few dynamic people even in the bureaucracy is what I would say. And it is a district Kudumbashri mission coordinator who advised her to go in for branding. They just suggested Rupashri as a name. It was a district Kudumbashri member who suggested name it as Kuttambura. Kuttambura is a local area, Kuttambura Kapi. So I was actually also suggesting they should go in for geographical indication. That is what they are planning next. They have also helped them brand it, packing, marketing, help them with getting the machinery and everything. It is a Kudumbashri supported this, and they did pilot testing. Funding again. Funding is they've taken a loan from their own thrift, and they've also got matching grant from the Kudumbashri. They've established institutional linkages with Kudumbashri Jilla Mission, which, as I said earlier, helped them in ideation, funding, licensing, branding, packing, all of it. Was a beautiful example of a Kudumbashri going into branding, marketing, and indigenous product. And it was earlier piloted through Kudumbashri Melas. And whenever they used to take any amount, it used to get immediately sold off. And that gave them the confidence to now they are expanding their area of activity into more. And we have Ramanichakrapani here, and she has a lot of stories. Actually, listening to her is worth it. Stories about how even a woman delivered in her auto and a lot of things. Ramani, you are here? Ramani, undo avade idinagathu? ഒന്ന് കാണാനില്ല. വീഡിയോ ഒന്ന് ഓൺ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ രമണി?
ചാർജ് കുറവുണ്ട് മാഡം. ചാർജ് പോയി. ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കറണ്ട് ഇല്ലാത്ത കാരണം ചാർജ് കുറവാണ്.
Oh, they don't have current, so the charge in this is very less. So any question, please ask quickly.
That is okay. Professor Nirmala, she is in a forest area, as you said, and in a tribal belt, and she's doing all this. And I have traveled in tribal belts. I know what a big challenge she must be in. So that is okay. With her story itself, the way she's learned how to ride a scooter, and that itself is very inspiring at that age, and taking all those sort of risks.
And now what I was telling her that she should go in for geographical indication, because see, it's a mix of traditional recipe plus local resources, and the kind of one idea, one more typical example for local for vocal, and whatever it is, vocal for local, and those kind of things. It's really this. And I was very impressed at the way the Kudumbashri has helped them financially, because Kudumbashri does help financially. Normally it doesn't result in branding and marketing and a product like this. Normally it's just cultivation and catering and things like that. So this is very, very and I hope this is a new beginning for the Kudumbashri movement itself.
But how do they get the good returns? I mean, my thought was, if she is able to probably write, if they're able to market outside and find a bigger market, probably she'll get a better return on her investment.
Yes, now I think
that she's doing.
Yeah, Charan, now I think they are getting export demands, export orders.
Okay.
അല്ലേ രമണി, എക്സ്പോർട്ടിന് കിട്ടില്ലേ? ഓർഡർ കിട്ടുന്നില്ലേ ഇപ്പൊ?
ധാരാളം കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ട്.
അതെങ്ങനെയാണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഓൺലൈൻ ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നത്? നിങ്ങളുടെ ഇതാണോ അതോ കുടുംബശ്രീ വഴിയാണോ? എങ്ങനെയാണ്?
കുടുംബശ്രീ വഴി ഓർഡർ വരുന്നുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ വാട്സാപ്പ്.
See, ever since their story was also highlighted in the media and all that, they have been getting orders from abroad, from national, from Bombay, from all sorts of places, because it's a localized tribal mix.
Professor, in this case of this tribal, they're only selling cow milk, or are they also selling goat milk? I thought was more easily available in the tribal belts.
നിങ്ങള് ആടിനെ വളർത്തി നോക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
ആടിനെ വളർത്തുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പൊ നിലവിലെ 1-2 ഉണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ ആട് അത്ര മെച്ചമല്ല, എന്നാലും വളർത്താൻ പറ്റുന്നുണ്ട്. പോത്ത്, ആട്, പശു ഇതൊക്കെ വളർത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നതാണ്. കാട്ടുമൃഗങ്ങളുടെ ശല്യം ഇപ്പൊ നിലവിലുണ്ട്. അത് കാരണമാണ് ഈ കൃഷിയിലേക്ക് തിരിഞ്ഞത്.
Okay.
ഇതാകുമ്പോൾ അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ആന, കാട്ടുപന്നി ഇതൊക്കെ കപ്പ, മറ്റ് ചേന, കാച്ചിൽ ഇതെല്ലാം കൃഷി ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നു. ഇതൊക്കെ കാട്ടുമൃഗങ്ങളുടെ ശല്യം കാരണം നിർത്തലാക്കിയിട്ടാണ്. ഇപ്പം കാപ്പി ആകുമ്പോൾ കുഴപ്പമില്ല, ആന ഇറങ്ങുന്നുണ്ട്.
Okay. See, Charan, what she's saying is they used to have a lot of cultivation of tuber crops, everything. But now elephants and pigs are a big menace to all these crops. So because of all that, she said we shifted to coffee because coffee, the elephants will not destroy. That is why this holds immense potential for them. And goat, yes, they do rear goat and cows and all that, but more remunerative they find is this.
No, but the way that she collected milk and she was marketing the milk, it's something like did the Amul cooperative system not set in the tribal belt, or she continues to be one of the few women who's marketing the milk like that?
ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇവിടെയുള്ള പാല് എന്തുകൊണ്ട് നിങ്ങളുടെ അവിടെ വന്ന് എടുക്കുന്നില്ല? എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഈ 4 കിലോമീറ്റർ നടന്ന് അതുവരെ കൊടുക്കേണ്ടി വരണേന്നാണ് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്.
അന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് മിൽമ ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു. മിൽമ ഈ കുട്ടമ്പുഴ, ഉരുളന്തണ്ണി എന്ന ഈ 4 കിലോമീറ്റർ അകലത്തിലാണ് മിൽമ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. അതുകൊണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ അന്ന് അവിടെ പാല് അളന്നുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. പിന്നെ കൃഷിക്കാരുടെ എണ്ണവും കുറവായിരുന്നു.
ഇപ്പോഴോ?
ഇപ്പോഴും ആരും തന്നെ വളർത്തുന്ന പശു കൃഷി തന്നെ നിർത്തലാക്കി കളഞ്ഞു.
Okay, okay. See, Charan, what she's saying is, see, those days, the number of people who reared cows in this was not that significant. And second, Milma had not come to their particular space. So that was a reason why she had to transport her milk and give it to that particular this. Now she says most of the people have stopped rearing cows and things like that. And that is why they are also finding coffee as a prospective economic source of alternative source of revenue and activity, economic activity.
Thank you, Professor.
Can I ask?
Yes, please.
I have a non-economic question. Tribals used to be subjected to social exclusion. How far this sort of economic experiments helped them to overcome such a social problem?
Okay. അതായത് നമ്മള് ഇപ്പൊ പട്ടിക വർഗം എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുമ്പോ സാധാരണ മറ്റ് സമൂഹത്തിൽ നിന്ന് നമ്മളെ വെച്ച് പല സംസ്ഥാനങ്ങളിലും വേർപിടിച്ച് തന്നെ നമ്മളെ വേർതിരിച്ചാണ് കാണുക. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സാമൂഹിക വേർതിരിവ് കണ്ണീരിട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
എനിക്ക് അങ്ങനെ സാമൂഹിക അങ്ങനെയൊന്നും വന്നിട്ടില്ല. എല്ലാവരും നല്ല രീതിയിൽ തന്നെ നമ്മള് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു തരംതിരിച്ചൊന്നും കണ്ടതായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് ഓർമ്മയില്ല. എല്ലാവരുടെയും കുരുട്ടത്തിൽ എല്ലാവരെയും കാണുന്ന രീതിയിൽ തന്നെയാണ് എന്നെ ഇത്രയും നാളും കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നതും. ആ ഒരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടൊന്നും എനിക്ക് അനുഭവപ്പെട്ടിട്ടില്ല. എനിക്ക് നല്ല സപ്പോർട്ടായിരുന്നു എല്ലാ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നും.
So she says she's not faced such kind of issues probably because being in a Kerala context. In that context, sir, I would like to add one comment because in the course of my conversation with Bincy previously, she was also saying, Bincy was saying that she too, earlier used to think that the class divide was and she was hesitant to interact with, I think more than the caste in Kerala, maybe the class is more important. That is what we have felt many. And she used to think that many of her neighbors and the social media people are so well off, they are this. But when once we interacted, we understood that, that kind of distinction, which normally you see in a lot of other states, it's not there because they had a common interest. And she had a peculiar skill of having excelled in that. She says, I always have got respect from other people. Now, there was another question in the chat box, like how they transport the coffee. Even now, they have built up a lot because earlier, what Ramani, I know, Ramaniyodu ചോദിച്ചത് കാപ്പി ഇപ്പോഴും നിങ്ങൾ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ട്രാൻസ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്ത് വിൽക്കാൻ എങ്ങനെയാ കൊണ്ടുപോണത്? 26 കിലോമീറ്റർ കൊണ്ടുപോകേണ്ടി വരാറുണ്ടോ?
ഞങ്ങളത് ഓട്ടോയ്ക്ക് കൊണ്ടുപോയി, ഞാൻ ഓട്ടോ ഓടിക്കാറുണ്ട്. ബാക്കി എല്ലാവരും പൊടിച്ച് പാക്കിങ് അതെല്ലാം എല്ലാവരും എല്ലാം സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്ത് എല്ലാവരും കൂടുന്നുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ നമ്മള് ഓട്ടോയ്ക്ക് ഞാൻ കൊണ്ടുപോയി വിൽപ്പന നടത്താറുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ നമുക്ക് മെഷീനറിയുടെ ഒരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഉള്ളത് നിലവിൽ. റോസ്റ്റിംഗ് മെഷീൻ ഇല്ല, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ കുത്തുന്ന മെഷീനും ഇല്ല, പൊടിക്കുന്ന മെഷീൻ മാത്രമേ ഇപ്പോൾ നിലവിലുള്ളൂ. പിന്നെ നമ്മള് കൈകൊണ്ടാണ് റോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഇപ്പൊ നിലവില്. അപ്പൊ അതാണ് ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു വിൽപ്പന യാതൊരു ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടും തോന്നുന്നില്ല. നമുക്ക് നല്ല ഓർഡർ ഉണ്ട്, നല്ല ഉൽപ്പന്നമായ കാരണം നല്ല ഓർഡർ ഉണ്ട്, നല്ല പാക്കിങ്, ഇതെല്ലാം ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നുണ്ട്, ടേസ്റ്റ് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നുണ്ട്. അത് കാരണം നല്ല വിപണനമുണ്ട്.
Okay. See, what she's saying is that earlier she used to collect I know her story, this partly I'll also add to it. She used to collect the seeds and bring it to take it for dry, because she knew the auto. That was a huge help. She knew how to drive an auto. They used to carry it to dry it in their terraces and take it 26 kilometers away, because a hulling machine is available only in the nearby place. Then bring it back and then winnow it at home and fry it dry, roast it in the traditional iron either. And then they would take it back to the powdering, again to the village for powdering, because they didn't have the powdering machine. Grounding, now they have got the grinding machine, and then they pack it, everything is done there, and then again they transport it back to the wherever they need to the village and to the other people. What she says is, see, market is not a problem at all because of the peculiarity of their product. So for them, it's only the hulling machine which is a problem, and probably getting enough raw materials also. These are the two things, but for them, marketing is not a problem at all because of the very nature of their product. പക്ഷേ രമണി, എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത് ആ ഇരുമ്പ് ചീഞ്ചട്ടിയിൽ വറുക്കുന്നത് മാറ്റരുത് കേട്ടോ, അതിൻ്റെതായ ഗുണങ്ങളും. when she was saying they're thinking of buying a roasting machine. I was telling her that roasting machine is a traditional iron roasting machine, and now our science is proving that when we cook in iron vessels, that also has health impact. So think twice before you go in for a modern roasting machine. But the rest of it, yes, whatever labor saving. Can we move on to the next, or Charan, shall we move on to the next? Because we have 2 more to go.
Yes, please.
So this is another very interesting story which can be replicated across the country by any woman, because we have Ammini Ammachi, who is now more than 74 years or 75 years old. She is a family entrepreneur, late bloomer, because she had 4 daughters. She brought up her daughters, and after all of them were married off, she got very lonely. Then one of her friends who came home to their relatives who came home to visit them, she had given them some of the traditional snacks we make, achapam, koilapam and all that. And they said, she said, we are so bored, me and my husband, because we had children all around here. Now we are so bored, we are so lonely. They said, why don't you start a business? This is very tasty. Why don't you start a business? And she said, okay, where do I sell? They said, see, we have a wedding of one of our relatives. You we'll give you a first order. So they started that first order, took it for the wedding. All of them liked it, and that started the business. Now for funding, they use mostly, they're very risk averse people. They are very scary of taking loans, so they're dependent on their own savings. And over time, the best aspect is all daughters are now they have followed suit. So it is actually become a family kind of entrepreneurship. As I said, they piloted at a wedding and they connected to a local bakery. They were also supplying the products to, apart from functions, that they got marketing opportunities through word of mouth. They also tied up for marketing with some retail outlets, and that proved very helpful for them because it was a bakery which advised them on getting a food license, sanitation certificate, pollution certificate, and all the other legal requirements. And they also went into branding. Earlier, though they had adopted the name of Zeya, they never thought of taking a trademark or this. So now when they started going for a trademark, they understood that Zeya is already taken. So they have added the name of one of the sisters, and now they've taken the trademark as Sisi Zeya. And they've got professional people to design a logo and stickers for them. The marketing is, again, as I said, word of mouth and retail shops. And the expansion strategies is a very gradual, no sudden exponential growth and gradual growth. Depending earlier, they were very risk averse. They were scared to take this, so they depended early only on family labor. Now they also have employees, and they earlier used minimum utensils and machinery, used own funds to expand, and now they have bought all the necessary machine. They've also gone in for regional diversification, because now Ammini Ammachi's two daughters who by then also became widows, they have joined her. This was a great source of financial support for them. When they started it, they had no such plans or necessities of that sort. Now the two widowed daughters and the mother have one unit, and the two other daughters, because this is in Kodamangalam and or Kolanjeri, I think, one of the places. I'll ask them. And there were people in two other areas who had problem in accessing. So the two sisters who are located in the others, they were also started a similar unit in those. So there is regional diversification. And Ammachi and her two daughters alone now produce and sell more than 600 kilograms. And their innovation and their learnings are, this is a beautiful relative replicable model for women, because there is a lot of scope for cloud kitchen, as was observed during the pandemic. And as more and more women go into the workforce also, that making food at home becomes a problem. So there is a lot of scope for some people at least to function as a cloud kitchen, and that will also go as vocal for local. And their story is also a model for people with less risk-taking mentality, and especially that linkage with established outlets, which gave source of information, especially the legal requirements. Why I'm saying is because when I myself started an entrepreneurship, it was after 1 year I understood that we were making soft toys, and I realized that we needed the BIS license. That information I got after 1 year. So such linkages with established people will always give you such this also. So with that, because we're running short of time, I'll switch. Ammachi, please. And here, if any one of you want to ask questions in Hindi, please feel free to shoot, because Ammachi's one daughter was in Bombay. She can speak excellent Hindi. So, can online on the Kanavo? Okay. Yes. So, in
Professor, this looks good because she is taking into account, she's growing organically, but she's also taking into account regional developments. So
yes.
what is she aiming at? Does she have something like a 4 or 5 year plan ahead?
4-5 വർഷം കഴിയുമ്പോഴുള്ള പ്ലാൻ എന്താണ്?
आप एक्सपैंड कैसे करना चाहते हैं? और अभी सिर्फ ये जिस रफ्तार पे चल रहे हैं उसी रफ्तार पे रखना है कि अभी आगे, क्योंकि इतना नाम हो गया है, इतने लोग आपको जानने लग गए हैं, अभी आप उसको तेजी से एक्सपैंड करना चाहते हैं और आपके साथ लोग भी मिल गए हैं?
अपने को एक्सपोर्टिंग करने के लिए प्लान है।
अच्छा,
अभी तो हम लोग का मार्केट बाहर गांव में जा रहा है। अभी अपन खुद करने के लिए सोच के बैठल है।
अच्छा।
See, I think their branding is the traditional Christian, snacks that you find in Christian families in Central Travancore. That is what they are marketing as their product.
Mm-hmm.
So, lot of Christians all over the world who really don't have the time or they have lot of skills also how to make these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, for them, they will have, and these products have a relatively long shelf life, no? At least compared to vegetables and all, the shelf life is better. So I think that they can easily go into, and there will be a market. Even on the moon, you will find a Malayali, I think.
But India में, are they expanding enough in India? पूरे देश में product has gone, or it's still restricted towards South India before they start exporting? देश में बाकी देश में अभी जाना शुरू कर दिया है कि अभी उधर ही केरला के आसपास चल रहा है। एक्सपोर्ट करने से पहले मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि हम लोगों ने अपने देश में कहाँ तक प्रोडक्ट जा रहा है?
अपना ऑल इंडिया में कर रहे हैं।
ऑल इंडिया जा रहा है अभी?
हाँ जा रहा है, कोरियर कर रहे हैं हम लोग।
कोरियर कर रहे हैं?
हाँ
और वो पेमेंट उसका कैसे आता है? पेटीएम से आ रहा है या किस तरीके आप ले रहे हैं?
गूगल पे।
गूगल पे पे ले रहे हैं। अच्छा, इसलिए एक्सपोर्ट करने का
हाँ अभी प्लान एक्सपोर्ट करने के लिए प्लानिंग है अपने का।
ठीक।
So we were asking Ammachi, what is the secret of her success? She said, my knowledge in cooking. As simple as that. Okay, my inherited skills in cooking. So there will be a lot of grandmothers and mothers like this who will be imparting. That's why I said there is no rocket science or nothing of that sort, but it is a small entrepreneurship which we learn will enable women to earn a livelihood. That is very, very it's easily replicable across, I think, the country. Each area will have their own delicacies, and now there is a demand for such delicacies with, of course, quality control and labeling. And see, they've taken all the legal requirements abroad, the food license, all those kind of things. So I think this is easily replicable by women across the country.
Can I ask?
Yeah, please.
Now there is a complaint about Malayalis in general. Their food habits are changing. So my query is, especially for children, young people, if that is the case, what will be the future of the traditional foods which they have been now specializing? Again, congratulations.
So Ammini വെച്ച് നാളെ ഇനിയിപ്പം അച്ചപ്പവും കുഴലപ്പവും ഒന്നും ചെറുപ്പക്കാർക്ക് വേണ്ടാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നുള്ളതാണ് ചോദ്യം.
എന്താ മാഡം?
നാളെ ചെറുപ്പക്കാരുടെ ടേസ്റ്റ് ഒക്കെ മാറി വരികയല്ലേ? അപ്പൊ ചെറുപ്പക്കാർക്ക് ഇനി ഭാവിയിൽ അച്ചപ്പവും കുഴലപ്പവും ഒന്നും വേണ്ടാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഭാവിയിൽ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു?
അത് നമ്മൾ പുതിയ രീതിയിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ അതിനെ കൊണ്ടുവരും ഉറപ്പായിട്ടും. അത് പുതിയ രീതി, പുതിയ ടേസ്റ്റിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ അത് കൊണ്ടുവരും. കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളുടെ ടേസ്റ്റിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ അത് കൊണ്ടുവരും. ഓൾറെഡി കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾക്ക് നമ്മുടെ പ്രൊഡക്ട്സ് ഭയങ്കര ഇഷ്ടമാണ്. അപ്പം ഏത് കുട്ടികൾക്ക് കൊടുത്താലും നമ്മുടെ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് അവർ കഴിക്കും. പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ കുറച്ചും കൂടെ പുതിയ രീതി, പുതിയ മോഡേൺ രീതിയിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
Okay. So probably they
മാറ്റി ആലോചിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
Okay. So they are also thinking of product diversification and flavor diversification to suit the youngsters also. That's this. Okay. But that is a question that you'll have to keep in mind.
നമ്മൾ ചിപ്സിനകത്ത് നമ്മൾ ഫ്ലവേഴ്സ് ചേർത്ത് നമ്മൾ കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
May I ask one question, Professor Nirmala?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, they are diversifying to which product? That is one. And what are their monthly returns vis-a-vis the investment? Because that is very important, and how that returns have increased over the time.
Okay.
That means the growth in their income level.
Okay. I don't know whether that's a trade secret that no businesswoman will generally, but at least they can give an idea about whether their income earning is ഒരു ഏകദേശം അതൊരു വല്ലതും എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒന്ന് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് റിവീൽ ചെയ്യാൻ തോന്നുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഏർണിങ്സും റിട്ടേൺസും എങ്ങനെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഗ്രോ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റി എന്നുള്ളതും. അമ്മിയമ്മച്ചി ഉണ്ടോ ഓൺലൈൻ? I think can anybody hear me, or is it just?
So I can hear you. We can hear you clearly.
So anyway, some others, it seems to be some issue there, but I guess that, see, they have been at it for 24 years, and the two daughters, after their husbands died, and the mother, they are now their source of livelihood is this. So obviously they must be earning enough to make a living, and they have the whole machinery, everything has been funded with their own savings. And so obviously they are making enough to, because as I said, the mother and the the two daughters who are with her, they are selling around 600 kg per month. So there must be a reasonable profit from that too, because that is a main source of economic income right now. And the children are grown up, so all this has been funded from this. So obviously they must be making. But the future, that is what they were saving. They will also diversify. They were using, healthy flowers and things like that, jackfruit, something. I think they mentioned jackfruit flour or something, which will also be tasty, catering to the youngsters and also the health aspect. They're thinking of product innovation to suit the changing taste also. Oh, they're back. കേട്ടായിരുന്നോ ചോദ്യം കേട്ടായിരുന്നോ? I think there is a problem. So we'll, if time permits, we can ask this again to them at the end. Now let me go to my last, because we are running short of time. This is Yellow Clouds social entrepreneur. She is Laila. She's a social entrepreneur. She is from Malappuram district in northern Kerala. And she is a mother of 6 children, 4 girls and 2 boys. And, it is for her different, her second daughter is a differently able daughter. And she wanted to start a crash. She said there was a particular question. All the children will go to school, the father will go to office. Then this daughter alone will stand in front and say, Amma, when can I also go somewhere? So she is all having a bath, everything. She's sitting in there. She doesn't have a place to go. That is, she would turn, then her mother would pacify her saying, okay, we'll also go. That is when she thought of starting a creche for her, this child. And since the child was Naam ke vaste, she was studying in the school, though she was at home. So she used to get a government scholarship for the school. And with that, she started a school in the rented premises for such disabled children. And initially, she thought that other mothers also will come. She got some 8 children in that school. She thought other mothers, but later on, she realized that most of these, gradually the number has increased to around 35 in their school. And many of these mothers are either from the socio-economically weaker sections. And some of the mothers, the fathers have left them because they have such a child, and the mother is solely taking responsible for such a children. So the grants that the government gives, actually the government has a approach towards helping these, but it is a more a welfare oriented approach where they give them the grants. And as usual with our grants, the grants do not increase in quantum over time. They remain fixed for a long time, not taking into consideration the inflation or the increase in the number of children who are coming there. So the funds became insufficient to meet the children's needs, give them. She said, see, if I talk to people, maybe they will give me funds to give them food or whatever it is. But we didn't want to depend completely on charity or grants. So we wanted to also financially be sustainable. They start, and that is the ideation and the motive for starting economic activity there. And there is again a case of persistence. It was a trial and error. See, if you look at the policy, this is where a major policy change is needed. Most of these schools for the disabled, they do give them training. These people were also given training, but in making artifacts. And then comes a harsh reality that there is no market for us. You produce such things, except for a few people who have a sympathy to them, there is no real market for their products. So they learned the hard fact. While the earlier case, Kutambura Kapi, because of the very nature of the product, they did not have a marketing problem. Here, the main problem is marketing. So they learned the hard fact that marketing is the most critical aspect. They also tried, so the artifacts was not enough. So they started another line of economic activity, that is embroidery. And they found that when cheaper clothes are coming from outside, taking clothes, doing embroidery and selling them was not financially sustainable. So then they tried yet another business, making paper pens. Okay. So, and there they, tried plucking the low-hanging fruit of easy marketing, because they targeted schools where they would get a substantial market slot there without, having to market 1, 2 single pens and all that. So they were doing reasonably well, making pens and selling it to schools, and the schools used to support them when they heard the motive behind such a entrepreneurship. But the COVID times led to closure of the schools and loss of business. So it was then that her friend who was making beds suggested this idea of, why don't you make pillows? So on the one side, the idea came. The other side, as I said, the dire necessity. The number of girls had grown. The funds by the government were grossly inadequate. So the financial burden of medicines for these kids was also pretty high. So they decided, okay, let us have that is how it started. The funding was grants from the government, but she has also, Laila, on her own proprietor concern, has taken substantial loans. And then a number of mothers got together, and it is registered as a Kudumbashri unit, so that they get help from the Kudumbashri this also, and also in addition to the support from the Social Justice Department. And the production strategies, some of the mothers, plus they have kept 2 employees, help in feeding the raw materials and bringing out, manufacturing the pillows per se. And the kids help, the disabled kids help in weighing the pillows, in sticking the labels, packing, etc., which they can do. All this is done by children, so that they also feel important, that they are earning, they have a place to go out, they have some activity to look upon, and they also feel that they are earning. And in strategy they tried was direct selling to retail shops, but they are facing a lot of competition, particularly price competition. And the competition of, the principle of lemons and plums and asymmetric information that we say, because quite a few of these pillows are of the pillows available in the market are of low quality and very low price, because they use the discarded beds, that though the material from the discarded beds, they say, were mixed with the good quality to fill inside, and nobody is going to cut the pillows and check inside. So they are able to sell such low quality products at low prices. So this low quality, low products are driving out these products, which are, these people do not have the mental framework to bring out such products. So their product is higher price. So naturally the low quality, low priced products are driving these products out of the market. But then another challenge that they're facing is, now the parental support, the mothers are also supporting them. Well, how can they survive, continue to sustain this beyond this? So the learnings are that the government policy also needs to change from a pure welfare approach to a mix of agency and welfare approach, where we enable them to stand on their own feet to some extent and feel productive. And in most of the trainings that we conduct for them, it's just training, and we don't bother about what happens after the training. So marketing is critical, and the trainings, and to be oriented with such a perspective to focus on products which have a market, and then also to support them in branding and marketing. That is a story of Laila, and I really admire her for having the grit to work for not only her own daughter, but to provide an opportunity for similar daughters of Malappuram. Laila, you're on there in this. Laila?
Madam?
Yes. Video on ആണോ? ഒന്ന് ഓണാക്കോ?
ഓണാക്കിണ്ട്.
Any questions?
Professor, you gave the motivation that Laila had for her daughter, and that is how she expanded and gave opportunity to many others now. But now that, as you mentioned, the challenges are massive, what are their plans on survival? Because they have tried paper pans, they have tried embroidery, now they have tried pillows, and they are again on the losing wicket. So what are their survival plans now?
എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇനി ഭാവിയിൽ എങ്ങനെയാണ് സർവൈവ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നതെന്നാണ് ലൈല ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് വലിയൊരു പ്രോബ്ലം ആണ്. അപ്പൊ ഈ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇനി ഭാവിയിൽ ഇത് പിടിച്ചു നിർത്താനും സർവൈവ് ചെയ്യാനും പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത്?
നമ്മള് ഇവർക്ക് ഏത് രീതിയിലാണോ ഒരു ട്രെയിനിങ് കൊടുക്കുന്നത് അത് അവർ ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. അതായത് ഇപ്പം അവരുടെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞാനാണ് സെയിലിന് പോകുന്നത്. ഭാവിയിൽ നമ്മൾ ഇവർ തന്നെ സെയിലിന് ഇറക്കണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു ഉദ്ദേശം. ആ ഒരു മാർക്കറ്റിംഗ് കൂടെ കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും കാരണം ഇതുവരെ കാണാത്തൊരു സമൂഹം, അതായത് ലോകത്ത് ജീവിച്ചിരിപ്പുണ്ടെങ്കിലും ഇരുട്ടറകൾക്കുള്ളിൽ അടച്ചിട്ടിരുന്ന അവർക്ക് ലഭിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അവർ തന്നെ മാർക്കറ്റിൽ ഇറങ്ങുമ്പോൾ എന്തായാലും അവർക്ക് അത് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും മാർക്കറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയും. അതാണ് നമ്മൾ ആലോചിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്.
So Charan, what she's saying is, see, till now it is Laila and the mothers who are going for marketing. So they're saying that now we are also thinking of involving these children in directing marketing, because if the children ask, certainly people will be more receptive to it. But I think that is a smaller perspective. I was thinking that even the CSR policies of many of these the government also needs to have a certain niche space for such people who want to be self-reliant. That is also something that we have to, because see, I'll tell you something, like coming back to mixing with what Rajesh Nair asked earlier about he was saying why St. Teresa's never had an approach to entrepreneurship. Yes, Kerala never had a positive approach to entrepreneurship. That's why I said the policy approach has brought about a substantial change. And that is why you find for the first time a dean of incubation sitting in front of you, which was not there earlier. The post was not there. And we are ourselves in St. Teresa's College, we are starting a business incubation center with 8,000 square feet. That's why I started off my session saying that, see, the government policy of UGC, NIR, of everyone, it's a coherent story of giving importance to a business incubation has certainly put this on the discourse. Incubation is in the main discourse as far as educational institutions are concerned. And when we're pushing it, okay, now students are also accepting that this is something which is acceptable. So there is a social acceptance of entrepreneurship in Kerala, which was not this, particularly for girls. And second, even when I try to push certain things, there is a lot of policy that the government policies need to change. I'll give you one example. Now, I myself have a entrepreneurship unit which shreds textile and makes soft toys. Now, when one potential market, initial market, okay, long run, we are ensuring that we are also bringing out electronically embedded toys, soft toys with narratives. But in the short run, the immediate market is the Anganwadi. We have 33,000 Anganwadis in Kerala. But when you go to the Anganwadi, and we are going in for BIS licensing, so it's ensuring quality. But when you go to the government, the bureaucratic, this is that you cannot buy without a tendering process. And it's a huge Herculean task. At the same time, Startup Mission has come out with a policy that, government can purchase, government bodies can purchase from the IT units which are registered with Kerala Startup without a tendering process up to 20 lakhs. But no such thing. So such policy changes, I've been trying to push that. It's very difficult. So policy changes are very much needed, that you also encourage, subject to quality, subject to standardization. See, but Laila has got a quality. If she can ensure the quality of a product, she should not have to run from pillar to post to get government orders or whatever it is. So Social Justice Department, they have so many government hospitals, pillows, beds that are needed there. So these kind of policy changes can help them. That kind of policy changes are needed. So that's coming to the conclusion for policy shift, as I said, it's initiated a cultural change and has brought about a support system for entrepreneurship. But we still have miles to go. As the case of summing up all these examples of, what Geetha said, that you need support and subsidy in marketing and working capital, not just for machinery alone, because that involves a lot of financial resources, time, everything needed. So that is needed. And technology we have seen is a great leveler. We need rest of India. Kerala was able to make, Bincy was able to make use of it because everyone has connectivity. Even there is not much of gender divide. But rest of the country, there is a gender divide and digital divide. So we really need to address that. That is another policy change where women are also, now see, most of them are marketing using social media, WhatsApp, all those. So, and digital payments. So all this needs to be addressed at the local, national level rather than focusing just on the traditional literacy alone. And social inclusion policy to encourage people like Laila who are focusing on providing an entire, an agency to their this, that also policy changes. A lot of such policy changes are needed. And that's where, Charan, I was so happy because of you, I put all this together. And I would be really happy if some policy changes to promote women entrepreneurship. Because I myself, being the Dean of Extension and Incubation, I have faced this problem that many, see in Kerala itself, what Rajesh said was partly okay, because we have very educated people. We encourage all our girls. We don't discriminate between girls and boys for education. We give them education. But after that, we encourage them to go for employment, or then the parents start saving for the marriage. They don't give money to a girl and say, go and do business. If you lose, it's all right. But the same is not the case for boys. So there is a gender angle to entrepreneurship. And that is where such stories, apart from policy changes, women need concessional finance. I've been bargaining and bargaining for that. They do need a lot of hand holding. And that is where, Rajesh, we are coming out with a social entrepreneur, with an incubation space in the heart of Kochi city, where we will support as an entrepreneur running a social entrepreneurship unit myself. It's for the environment, not as deserving as a cause as Laila, but it's just to protect the environment of Kochi. I understand that we need comprehensive handholding, including in taking photos, writing captions. A person who's doing it doesn't have the time for all this. That is where the incubation support comes in. And now the incubation support, normally, if you go to a district industry center or somewhere, they just give you some advice, do this, do that. And you don't know how to do it. So even the tax aspect you are saying, if people have to approach a practitioner, they have to pay. Now we are coming out with a comprehensive plan to handhold women entrepreneurs, where we start from, ideation to pitch deck to everything, to preparing a business plan, to getting loan. But most of it stops at getting a loan and training. But critical aspect, as Laila said, comes at marketing, branding, marketing, and ensuring a market. So all that is critically important. So lot of policy changes are needed. That's where I'm hoping that EGROW will be able to chip in to bring a lot of, already some changes there, for some policies are there. We need to build upon that to promote women's inclusion in entrepreneurship. And another starting point is, we also need inspiring stories to be shared, which will help build confidence that if they can do it, we can also do it. And that is where I think this seminar is also helpful. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Now, any other questions we can look at?
Yeah, thank you, madam. Thank you very much. That was indeed enlightening. I just differ on certain points. Like you mentioned about some extra efforts to or policy change for women. Exactly. Center has, I guess they are trying anyway. But my question is, like, is it really necessary? Like, there is always, as far as the business or entrepreneurship is concerned, there is a level playing field. But the problem is, we have to push the women entrepreneurs. That is the main issue, what I can see. You see, now there are many schemes. If somebody is starting the business, the government is promoting them. There are policy changes are coming, and it will come as per the requirements. But again, what we are actually looking like, if we are trying to persuade government for extra benefits, then again, what the problem is like the quality, the quality and the strength of the women entrepreneurs, it will reduce as per
See,
the.
can I explain, please?
Sure.
See, this is why I highlighted in the beginning one point, gender neutral is not the answer. Gender blind, you're being gender blind. I'll tell you a typical example. When I was trying to promote women entrepreneurship, they need a space to come, even if it's production space or whatever it is. I've been knocking doors, government bureaucratic doors, one after the other. Everyone was very, okay, I'm representing one of the prestigious institutions in Kerala, which has 100 years of history of women empowerment. With that power, I'm going and bargaining for women. Okay, and still, yes, all the Kerala government was supportive. They said, we'll give you space. We'll give you space. I'm from Cochin. They said, we'll give you space in Angamari and Piravam. That is where we have the District Industries Center has established a space. We can give you some space. Now, my question is, you see, as you rightly said, it is gender neutral. Men can come, women can come. But my critical point there is, I strongly disagree to what you said, because I don't know, maybe you are a very not a gender stereotype person, but most of the households, the entire domestic chores, cooking, care, taking care, child care, everything is done by the woman. Now, if I myself, I do not want to travel 1 hour daily to reach my workplace and travel back 1 hour. A person, a man who doesn't have to do such domestic chores, he has all the time in the world to travel and back. But my concern is to come back and then look after my children. So I want a space which is minimum accessible near my place. That is why I said being gender neutral does not help women. So what happens is, when a woman travels so much and spends so much time, automatically the husband, the son, everyone will say, see, you are away from your house for so much time, you can't take care of your family, so stay at home.
True.
Okay, this is going to come from the husband. I'm telling you from my own experience, from so many experience. You'll be very say, no, don't, please. I'm earning enough to support you. I will give you the money. What is this money? Does every husband give half the salary in writing to the wife who stays at home? Very sorry, I don't think I have seen. If I become passionate, I really will become passionate, because I'm tired of this gender neutral statement. See, as long as society is not gender neutral, as long as the roles are not gender neutral, there is no point in saying gender neutral. You have to recognize the.
I beg your pardon. So you want to start? I will suggest you start with the society. That is the
Yes,
first
that,
thing.
see, sir, this is a chicken and see, I'll just quote Amartya Sen's factor, okay? He has said one angle when applying to gender. I'll take the typical example of IT women itself. You have both the case I quoted, you have women and men with equal capabilities. The case I quoted, she was even better than the women. She came in with equal capabilities, equal education, everything. But there is, if you are familiar with Amartya Sen's theory, you will know that there are certain conversion factors. Conversion factors are, I'll give you another example. You give a disabled person and his own, Amartya Sen's own example, okay? You give a disabled person and a physically fit person equal amount of money, equal transport system, and say, now see, we are treating you equally. We are not disfavoring you. We are treating equally. So, but as long as the transport system does not have a ramp or public theater or something, does not have a ramp or is not, that person, though he has the money, he has all the freedom to do it, he cannot do it, because disability is a conversion factor which affects what he can actually achieve. Similarly, in Amartya Sen's gender theory, if you look at it, you will find that I'm arguing that caring responsibility, marriage and child, this is a conversion factor which affects your ability to achieve. Look at that girl who had all the resources, all the capabilities. The moment she got married, marriage and caring responsibility is a conversion factor which limited her functionings. Just like how disability prevents a disabled man from accessing and mobility, There is no point in telling the disabled man, I've given you enough money to travel, I've given you the transport system. There is a special.
I do agree, madam. I do agree. But today's speakers, you can see we have definitely got one of the best examples from Kerala, as we can see today's guest. So that is there. It was there since decades, since centuries. It will change gradually. But the thing is, the inward force which has to be coming from outside, coming out from the women, and you have to motivate them.
Sir, we cannot wait for the society alone to change. It's a chicken and egg situation. The policy, see, let me ask you something. If you were explaining there is a, in intervention needed, I'll tell you the local government case in Kerala. Local government, you can always say Kerala women have learned to speak, they have learned, let them alone contest in elections and come. No, but by policy, 50% of the seats were reserved for women because they are 50% in the population. Now, once that 50% reservation that space was carved out by policy, they have learned to use, Kerala local elected representatives are not like in North India. They speak out, they handle it. But that space was carved out forcibly for them by the 73rd Amendment starting and Kerala's own policy, which reserved 50% of the seats for them. So sometimes you can't say that and now that has brought about a change in the women's attitude and the way they handle. So you can't say society has to change, we will wait for them to change. No. We need both. Some carving out of physical space and policies to support them and enable them to stand upright in this is also needed, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You can't wait for society. Yes, but I agree with you 100% that a change in gender stereotyping is also needed. It's slowly happening among the younger generation, but it will take, I think, another 50-60 years for that to happen fully. So we cannot wait till then. That is my key point.
So exactly how you are planning to overcome this?
So that is what we are also starting incubation centers to promote women entrepreneurship, so complete hand holding. That is why I said I bargained and got 8,000 square feet in the heart of Cochin city, which is accessible by road, by metro, by auto, by boat, everything within 10-15 minutes from the corporation area. So that is one thing I was able to do because of this carving. But we need policy changes. And that's where I'm depending on all the policy changes. I'm requesting the policy changes. Please bargain. Bring about policy changes have brought in a change. They have brought in a social acceptance of entrepreneurship. It's only because of policy change that you find educational institutions supporting entrepreneurship. Giving the space for 8,000 square feet is also because of the national policy change and the UGC guidelines, NIRF. But that is a starting point. Yes, it has done a lot of good. You need still more changes. That is what I'm talking about. For instance, sir, the funding, the grant or subsidy. Yes, government is very ready to give subsidy. But only for buying machinery. Buying machinery is only one aspect of the production process. More critical aspect is branding and marketing.
And what is the government in your organization? How they will be operating that?
Very difficult to get the government to change. Very, very difficult. Not easy. That's why I'm depending on Charan and all these policy makers to force it from bottom and push it from below also.
But the thing is, we have industrial departments, whether in state or whether in nation. At the end of the day, you know how government works. So if that's what I was asking, in your 8,000 square feet place, what is the involvement of government? How is the government?
No. See, I've just got the sanction to start the center from my college. The building is ready. Now we are going to start. Now, but I will try to work with the government as far as possible, because we have told the local mayor that we will support his livelihood. See, this is not just, we are liaising with the Kerala Startup Mission, we are liaising with the District Industry Center. All of that is important. But again, the financial policy decision, the banking policy decisions, the grant decisions, all that has to come from the center also. And center has been successful to a large extent in educational institutions extending their helping hand to incubatees and recognition. That has already, so the first level, the foundation has been laid. Now we need to build upon that. So these, some pointers like the grant and the recognition for, the marketing and the branding and all that is very, very, very critical. That is important. Then some rules, government rules to support socially deserving cases like Lila's, they should not have to run. See, I'm doing the running for getting government exemption for my, though it will have a BIS license, I'm doing, I should not be the one running. It should come as a policy from the government.
Okay.
We have enough headaches. Manufacturing and production and entrepreneurship itself is a huge time consuming activity instead of going behind. So we do not have the time to go behind such policy changes.
Fair enough.
Professor, do you want to take a few more questions from others? You are the chair of the session, so I leave it to you.
No, I'm okay if anybody has a question, because such a very, for me, it's a topic close to my heart. So
Yeah, and we have had a very intense discussion.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am Matthew Kurian, presently of the Joint Director of K.N. Raj School of Economics of Mahatma Gandhi University. Okay, I have a direct question on the basis of your earlier presentation and a word of appreciation as a student of theoretical economics. The first is, I have been in the higher education scenario of Kerala for more than 5 decades. I find a gender shift in higher education in Kerala. Now we come to higher MA and other courses, we find girls are displacing boys. How do you view this trend? That is my query to you. Then a word of appreciation. When I listen to the whole deliberations of this, I find, because this is the third centenary birth year of our father of economics, Adam Smith, and his theory of moral sentiments with wealth of nations. I find an integration of these two basic texts of Adam Smith by listening to all the speakers in this. Therefore, I am very much thankful to the EGROW as well as you and as well as the presenters, and congratulations. So then if you have any clarification on the first, because you referred it to
yes. Yes, I'll tell you, sir. See, I have actually read, I don't remember the author, but I have seen, I think it was in KK George Center or some other, 1 or 2 studies, or I think it is CSES, 1 or 2 studies which have analyzed the shift in higher education that you have this. And there, the main finding that they pointed out was that, see, earlier, professional courses like engineering, medical and all, seats were rather limited. Now, when the seats have expanded exponentially, what has happened is majority of the boys as well as a significant portion of the girls now go for professional education like engineering, medical, then agriculture, Ayurveda, all those kind of this, which gives them it's a professional courses. So there is a vacuum in the higher education sector. And then this higher education sector, generally, if anybody does a PG or an undergraduate, very sorry to say, but it is a sad state of affairs in Kerala as well as the rest of India. All our higher education, general arts and science are not exactly career oriented or placement oriented, or most of the kids do not get a very good placement immediately after this. So, and naturally, there is a space created. This was a study done by them. There is a space created in the arts and science, and naturally, it is the girls who have come because Kerala, there is a high, a social value attached to education. But what they many don't think is, what are you doing this higher education for? It's for you to earn a livelihood. But for them, what I understood is that it's a sense of pride to say that my daughter is studying here, my daughter is studying there, and then ultimately they look at marrying them off. So, but slight changes happening at least among the top economic this, but majority of the middle income and the social income, I don't find much of a change because ultimate ambition is marriage, and that's why I said it's still a very gendered society. And that is why when the most of the boys have moved out to professional courses, there was a vacuum which was filled by that is the reason for the feminization of higher education, is what I would say. And we really need to look at where these girls are. We need a lot of studies or cohort analysis on what is the future, what these a number of girls who are coming into higher education, what are they doing? That is another question. So I hope that answers your question, sir. Any other question?
I just want to make an observation, Professor. This excellent presentation that you made, and I want to thank you for bringing in a panel to substantiate your arguments, the way you brought in and the various women who have come, and each one of them brought in a very special characteristic, and each one of them was very impressive in their own way, be it from the tribals, be it the last one you brought who started the business because of her daughter, shows that if we have to achieve higher female labor force participation, it's not only the women who will have to push. I think the policymaker has also to make it conducive so that these women who have shown and mustered the courage and who have taken the risk, who have taken the trouble, one is able to help them now come and blossom it out. So I think your examples are very good. And of course, at my end, I will share this PowerPoint with policymakers at every level in Delhi. But I'm sure all of us who are here will have to play a role in it. And I think these are not changing the mindset, certainly is a challenge. But if the government decides, and India is always in the election mode, these are very important decisions which can help women join the workforce. And at least in this election year, one should expect something positive. So I'm really thankful to you to have thought this out, to have planned the panel like this, to have brought in the people that you brought in the way you brought in, so that you could create a complete ecosystem and share with us a complete story, not just theoretically that we people generally are used to and familiar with saying this is the lacuna, this is the problem, here is a challenge, but you made us listen to them, share the stories with us. I really want to thank you, Professor. Excellent, excellent effort you have made. I mean, sometimes I feel this is more than a research paper that you have done.
This is
right?
life research. This is life research, and my hardships that I'm facing in trying to put the entrepreneurship agenda and make women succeed in it. It's not easy. You also need a very, very formal care system that needs a lot of importance. Because unless some ladies are freed from the care, how can they focus on other activities? That is why I said till the gender stereotyping is complete, till the formal care system develops, a nano house-based or small entrepreneurship holds a potential ray for economic empowerment and reducing their economic vulnerability. Yes.
Absolutely. So then let me thank you and your team. As there are no more questions and we are already about 140 minutes into the very interesting seminar. So let me thank you and your team for having put in this effort and come and shared your thoughts, your research and their thoughts with us. I have two important announcements to make. One is that we at EGROW Foundation are launching, similar to financial literacy, economic literacy programs. I'm requesting each one of you to please have a look at the website of EGROW. Next Monday, we are starting on financial sector. The thought is the financial sector consists of banks, fintech companies, the stock market, what are the risks involved, and then also bringing and highlighting the global financial crisis. And what is money supply and how does the money supply fit into the financial system? All those aspects we are doing. I'm requesting each one of you to please have a look at it. If you have students who would like to, or even the faculty who would like to join, please join. We are charging a very nominal rate, it's break-even rate that we charge. But our objective is economic literacy or economic learning. People far flung in our country who have not had the opportunity of learning economics or finance, we are making it really simple. There's basic concepts and introductory course which will benefit anybody and everybody. And we have very nominally priced it. And we are very fortunate. This course will be taught by former Reserve Bank officials, SEBI officials, professors from JNU, professors from Delhi University. And if any one of you thinks that you have special training to teach a course like this, you can also interact with us and we can then place you in one of these courses to teach others. So my request to all of you who are listening and who are still here, look up the website. We are starting a course on August 28, 1 hour every evening sitting at home. It's an online course which starts at 7:30. We close sharp around 8:30, 8:40, depending on the interest students show there. Very nominally priced, conveniently timed. So please join for that. The second announcement is for the next week. Now, next week, we have a French woman, Professor Pascaline Dupas, who is a professor at Princeton, who works on gender and development. She is speaking to us on women left behind. Professor Nirmala, this is very similar to your conclusion that women are left behind. They have to do multiple things, and gender neutrality is only in newspapers or on TV channels. But when it comes to the ground reality at home, gender neutrality just goes out of the window. And the example that you gave, if there's a handicapped or a different able child at home, generally the mother will be left with the child and the husband just, or the family doesn't give support. It just is on the shoulder of the mother now to bring up that child. So, and then that becomes a very big challenge. In any case, next week we are listening to Professor Pascaline Dupas from Princeton University, who has worked a lot on this issue, and she is speaking to us on women left behind. So I would invite all of you to please come and participate in that webinar too. Timing will be a little different because she is in Europe, so we'll move the timing, I think 6 to 7 or something like that. Today's recording, and Professor Nirmala, I want to repeatedly thank you again. Today's recording will be available by noon tomorrow and on our website. You are welcome to use it the way you want to use it, but I'm going to use it in trying to send to my friends in policymaking and the government to think about the issues which Professor Nirmala is raising and to support her conclusions, the team that she has brought and the team which is raised. So tomorrow by noon, you will have it all. So once again, thanks to all of you for being here with us today and participating and enriching this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Charan. Thank you, all my panelists also.